Welcome to the weekend live show.
508 is where I'm from.
We run down the biggest stories of the week with you every Saturday night. Let us know in the comments right now where you reppin'.
Apache Junction, Canton, Worcester, Long Island, Manchester, South Florida, Webster, Malden, Framingham, Tucson, Wichita, 𝗵𝗂𝗶𝗺, Salem, Gloucester, Moosop, Connecticut, Charleston, South Carolina, Roslindale, Moosop, Connecticut, London, Hampton, Glendale, Arizona, Lynn, Mapleville, Quincy.
Food stamps, leave it closed, buddy, and
Hey, you funny ass guy, man.
Have you ever heard of Turtleboy? Yeah? Are you a fan?
508 is where I'm from. 508 is where I'm from.
What the hell was that?
Oh, it's fucking 𝗄𝗲𝗵𝗆.
You a friggin' idiot. Stop telling people that I'm mentally deranged and stupid. It's homosexuals that love them. Good job, guys.
Nobody wants to see your dick pics, dude. Oh. Can't show it. It's a genetic dick pic.
And it fell on the house, clogged that.
Let's get this party started.
Yo, hello, Turtle Riders. What's going on? Welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your fearless host. They call me Uncle Turtleboy around these parts, but you can call me Clarence if you'd like, or Aidan is my real name, or you can call me Dr. Turtleboy. A lot of people call me Doctor today. I'm really digging that, so I actually prefer Doctor. So it's also my Twitter account handle. It is at Dr. Turtleboy. That's DOCTOR Turtleboy. And because Joe Biden's a doctor, then I'm definitely a doctor. Make sure to follow all our socials. My personal page, the Clarence Woods Emerson page, is hot right now. Just past 35,000 followers. So go and give that a follow. Give the Turtleboy page a follow as well. You just search Turtleboy on there and it comes up. So you could search that as well. Go give that a follow. I think that's approaching 27,000. The volume is very low, people are saying. How low? I'm going to play it. I'm going to hear what it sounds like. Hold on. Is it that low? I feel like it's not that low. I don't know. Okay. We'll keep it like that because I just turned my volume up a little more and it seems fine. But, oh, yeah, you like the shirts? Turtle Riders make me the best shit. This is not for sale, but somebody made it for me. So that's really nice of them. I got the randomest shit. This came in the mail. So, okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's you can follow me on Facebook that way. On Instagram, you can follow me at Turtleboy_daily_news. We're on the gram. I think we're like 15,000 strong on there. I'm on TikTok. I've done 2. I don't dance. I'll probably start using TikTok when I can here and there because I know all the kids are on TikTok these days. Everyone's saying like low volume. I don't know. I feel like I just listened to it. I think it's okay, but let me see if I can change the settings on my end. Hold on. Audio. Oh, maybe this. Did that just turn it up right there? Did I just turn it wicked up? Hold on. I got to play it on my end. Hold on. All right. I think that works. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. So there. Volume's good. We're going to stick with that for now. All right, guys. So anyway, we had, so what was I going to say? Yeah. So yeah, the socials, follow us on there. Make sure you have smashed that subscribe button. What do we have for subscribers now? I can't keep, like, I think we're 37.5 around there. So let's get to 40,000. Let's just do it. Who cares? Let's get to 40,000. We're not even monetized. We can't even make a penny off this channel, but that's fine. We don't need monetization on here. We're fine. But I highly recommend you subscribe on Rumble as well. We are live on Rumble as we speak. I see right now 116 people over there, but that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat. When we get to the Q&A at the end, I'm always going to give priority to the Rumble people. So we got about 2,500 subs on Rumble. Rumble is a free speech alternative to YouTube because we've lost like at least 10% of our shows. Like this is show number 600, guys, who are watching tonight. This is Turtleboy live show number 600, but we've probably lost 60 of them. They're just gone and there's nothing you can do about it. You don't get them back. So we always live stream on both YouTube and Rumble because Rumble doesn't take down anything. You can say whatever you want on there. It's an actual platform. instead of like a publisher deciding what you get to say and what you can't say. And they don't explain any of this. There's no rhyme or reason. So try to go and subscribe to Rumble if you get a chance. It takes 2 seconds to make an account. Every Russell Brand's on there. It's hip. It's cool. Get on there. But okay. So that's that. Also, if you guys would like to support the program and support Turtleboy in general, you can do that by, I'm going to put, by clicking at the link at the top. You can't do the traditional method of whatchamacallit, of super chat, because we said the wrong things about the vaccine mandate a couple of years ago, and they're like, you can't give money to him anymore. He's bad. So your money is, you want to keep that money. You don't actually know what you want to do with that money, which is fine because they took 30 or 40% of it anyway. And we just built our own platform. It's called Turtle Chat. If you click at the link at the top, that brings you to something called Turtle Chat. You can donate whatever amount of money you want when you do that. And you get to write a message. I'll get an email notification and I will read your message out loud to the class. First of all, I felt like a goddamn stripper today in Canton. I'm walking around. People are putting money in my G-string or something. It was pretty cool. So thank you guys. And to everybody who's there today, thank you. It's everybody who donated to. I'm sorry I couldn't like personally thank you a little more appropriately, but I was like live streaming during the middle of it. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out today. That was really cool. We are going to talk about that. We are definitely going to talk about that, obviously. We got a couple turtle chats already. Want to read here. We got one from Jay for $10. He says, Turtleboy, keep up the great work. Many in law enforcement have your back and appreciate your work. Well, thank you very much, Jay. Hopefully some of them are in the Canton Police Department and they start speaking up. DW sends $50 as major kudos on the Canton Rolling Rally today. So well done. Also, the attendees deserve major praise for showing up with a passion, but also with restraint, unlike some protests that happen around this country. You're absolutely freaking right. Like I said at the beginning, I'm like, I just gave a disclaimer. We were in the 𝗃 parking lot. And I'm like, look we got to stay peaceful. Stay respectful. Try to stay off people's property. You know, it's going to be crowded in there. And just, don't do anything that would not only make me look bad, but make Karen Reed look bad, that would make this whole thing. Don't give them any ammo. Be above them, be better than them. And I feel like everybody honored that today. Like it was really, like there was no issues at all. Also, same thing on Tuesday. So Tuesday, we're doing it all over again. Tuesday at 12:15 on the courthouse steps in Dedham at Norfolk Superior Court. We are going to be peacefully protesting. So it's really important on Tuesday that we keep things peaceful. Like no matter what they do, no matter how many assholes, if any of them show up and try to instigate, you got to be the bigger person. Like always, because it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about Karen Reed and any, if her supporters are perceived, they would love nothing more than, making us seem violent or making us seem whatever. That's not who we are. It's not who we are. So we're better than that. So I know I can count on you guys to be respectful and peaceful, no matter what they say, so. Okay. So, that's that. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, yeah, a couple more. So thank you very much, DW, for that dono. I also got a couple turtle chats here already. Because I'm on Cash App too, $, Uncle Turtleboy. And let's see, we got one from Janine for 15. Says, open the app for more details. Okay. We got another one here for Brendan. Says 25. Says open the app. Oh, it says open the app for more details. So I guess I have to open the app. Huh? Hold on. So I guess I have to open the Cash App now. Let's see. Did we get any? What does it say? I didn't get your. Oh. Okay, so Janine says, for today was great. That's what she says. Brendan sends 25, says, for the award-winning journalist, keep it up. Thank you, Brendan. And then we got one from Scott, says, since 25, and he says, thank you for today, you stripper. You guys are funny. So there's that. Also got another cash app here from another turtle chat from Danielle for 10. Says, is it just me or is Turtleboy looking hot tonight? I am fangirling. Fuck crusty panties. No, it's just me. So it's just same old Turtleboy. So maybe it's the shirt. I don't know. Maybe it's Jen McCabe. I'm no Matt McCabe. I'll tell you that much. I'm no Matt McCabe. I don't know if you guys saw his pictures. This guy makes fun of the way I look too. Like, come on. So when I say turtle riders are everywhere, like we're everywhere, man. You can't. Jen McCabe was just in Aruba, and I don't ask people to follow them around, but we are everywhere. Like that's the thing. Like no matter where you go, Turtleboy is going to be there. And when I say Turtleboy, I mean turtle riders as well. Like we're all Turtleboys. So in Aruba, she gets seen there. People send me pictures of it. Well, now she's back on vacation again because I think she knew the rolling rally was coming to town. And Turtle Rider 2 days ago sends me some pictures and are like, dude, they're sitting next to us on the beach. And I'm like, she sends me these pictures. I'm like, oh my God, these are gold. Can I share them? He's like, you can't because we have to sit there again on the beach tomorrow and they go every day. And we don't, and they were kind of suspicious of us, but we're leaving Saturday morning. So then you can share them then. And so I got them because I guess they're there till like Sunday. They're in a gunquit, Maine. And let me tell you, Matt McCabe, dude, can never talk about the way I look again, ever. Look at those things. Those make Abrams like jealous. Like those are, Jen McCabe wears the pants in that family, but Matt wears the bra, or at least he should. I need to milk those fuckers. Look at those things. Look at those things. I'm gonna milk those before I die, Matt McCabe. Just understand that I will milk you. Look at those. And dude, come on. That looks exactly like the t-shirt, does it not? I'm not trying to make fun of her looks. But whatever Matt's eating, can you give half the portions to Jen, please? Please. Stop starving the girl. The poor girl. Oh my God. And that's not like, going to the gym skinny. That's like, I have a shitload. Like I have so much stress and anxiety and I take a shitload of pills that suppress my appetite. That's what that looks like to me. Like, look at that. Like 20 cents a day could keep this woman alive. Like she could be in a UNICEF commercial. Again, not trying to make fun of the way she looks, but oh my goodness. But again, he made fun of the way I looked. When I first got there, the first thing he said was, oh, you're pretty short. Cool, Matt. You're taller than me. Good job. You also have gigantic tits and you're a man. So there's that. And they're not like, tits from like bench pressing. They're tits from, oh my goodness gracious. Like Sasquatch, like literally Sasquatch. Okay. So there's that. All right. Anyway, so I know they saw that. Oh man, we'll talk all about the rolling rally in a little bit. But how I want to start off tonight's episode. So has anybody out there watched a YouTube channel called Yellow Cottage Tales in the comments? Let me know if you've watched this channel before. Yellow Cottage Tales. Let me show of hands in the comments if you guys have watched this. Give them a sub if you haven't already. So he's a guy from my hometown of Worcester. And he's been talking about, not like maybe he can explain his channel when he comes on here, but I first found him when he was talking about me, and he made a really nice video, I thought, about like, is Turtleboy a hero or a villain? And it was like a hypothetical question. And I don't know if he would say hero is the right word, but like, he seems to think that I'm doing good with my reporting. And so I did appreciate the video. I thought it was well done. He's just a guy in his house, just talking on his stream. He does a lot of true crime stuff, it seems, but he's obviously got a big interest in the Karen Reed case. And he's like me. He likes evidence. He likes facts. And, recently, I think after I made the top 50 things you have to believe if you think Karen Reed's innocent, he did a response video to this that upset some people. I think it was titled like what Turtleboy got wrong or something. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have time to watch the whole thing. I watched bits and pieces of it. But but like some of the things he said, I disagree with, and I feel like I can clarify that for him. I'm not looking for an argument. I'm just looking for a conversation. That's what I'm all about. So, so this guy, I'm like, he made a Reddit post the other day. Let me bring up the Reddit post. And I'm going to bring him on in a minute. He's going to join me. So, he makes this post on Reddit. So this is the original post from, is Turtleboy a hero or a villain? Okay. And most recently, I'm just going to read this to you because I want to clarify some things in here. And I told him that this is what I wanted to talk about. He says, okay, I don't understand why everyone isn't playing both sides. Every sane person is, because there is not enough evidence to prove either side. So every reasonable person is, I mean, I disagree with that comment. There's not enough evidence to prove either side. Disagree. So every reasonable person should be looking at all the evidence, trying to fit it together from different angles, makes sense of it. I think this is like a knee-jerk reaction. Note my objection did this week as well. I just feel like in order to maintain credibility and not seem like you're completely subjective, this is the new thing now. Pretend we call this both sidesism. When you feel the need to be like, oh, let's hear from both sides, blah, blah, blah. We've heard from both sides and we know what's going on here. That's like saying, like, if one side is saying killing Jews is good and the other side is saying it's not, well, let's listen to both sides. It's like, no, you don't always have to listen. And not that I'm comparing them to Jew killers. What I'm saying is that not always two competing sides are equal. Not like you don't always have to be like, let's hear what they have to say. We've heard what they have to say. So like, I've seen a lot of this going around. I understand the tendency to not want to seem biased, but at some point it's just like, there's no other side here. Like, come on, stop it. So he goes on to say, make sense of it. I've discussed every relevant piece of evidence from every angle I can. I've speculated at length. I have a video where I explain that an evil genius seems to be required, whether one thinks she is guilty or innocent. But I suspect you stopped thinking the moment you heard how long to die in cold. Yeah, that had a lot to do with it. You heard the defense's theory, evidence, put into the public through the turtle, through Alan Jackson, really, and your mind stopped. It was made up. And now every other bit of info became subject to confirmation bias. So I've, been talking to a reporter from Boston Magazine, and who's looking into doing a story on this. And I said, like, she asked me, like, is there any way, like, is there any part of you that thinks that Cameron Reed could have done this or that you got this wrong? And I just said, no. Like, this, like, they go, is there anything they could show you in Discovery coming up that would make you think like, oh, maybe there isn't another side? And I said, no, there isn't, because number one, they would have shown it by now. And number two, and more importantly, there is literally nothing they can show that would explain those autopsy photos. Nothing. There was nothing they could show that could explain how a car going in reverse could do that to John O'Keefe's body. There's nothing. I don't care what the black box shows. Like, nothing. Whatever the black box shows, first of all, I bet it helps Cameron Reed. Okay. But if it didn't, if they were like, oh, she hit something, I guarantee they got it wrong. Like, I get, like, because it does not make any sense, because look at her freaking car. Her car's not even messed up. Like, it had only the taillight. You hit him hard enough to kill him and you didn't dent the bumper? Nothing? But you just one taillight? Like, come on. So I find that hard to believe. So anyway, goes on to say, yes, I agree with Jay. That is literally the only thing they could show that could make me be like, well, I got duped, is if they showed a ring camera footage of Karen doing this. That would convince me. But I would love to see it. I mean, it would be a fucking crazy video, wouldn't it? It would be like, John, wait right there for 1 second. Okay, Karen, dear. What are you going to do? Motherfucker, I'm going to kill you with my car, and I'm going to go really fast and boom, I hit you. And then the next day, when Michael Proctor asks the neighbor, like, do you have any ring camera video? He's like, no, I don't have any ring camera video. But then he found it. I don't know. Like that. Not even a confession. Like Castle Protection's like, or a confession. If Karen Reed confessed to this tomorrow and said, no, I did the whole thing, I duped out y'all motherfuckers, I still wouldn't believe her. Because I'd be like, no, the evidence shows otherwise. Like, you didn't. I don't know who's got a fucking gun to your head right now. But you didn't. Okay, so back to this. So I says, let's see. But we don't know that McCabe searched at 227. We do. So there's one thing I disagree with. We do. One expert hired by the defense says that. He has not been crossed yet. We can talk about why that is. Meanwhile, two experts on the prosecution say the opposite. Do they? What are their names? And what have they said? So we could talk about that. They have not been crossed either. So we just don't know. But you want to take one side and end the discussion. Of course, I've shared the reasons why I'm skeptical of the defense's arguments many times. Let's start here. O'Keefe stopped moving at 12:31. Reed got home at 12:41. The drive is normally about 7 minutes, but it was snowing. So first of all, I disagree that O'Keefe stopped moving at 12:31. We can get into that. He did not. Reed was drunk and didn't know the area. She knew it well enough to get home. That puts her leaving Fairview sometime around 12:31. The timeline perfectly fits a scenario where Reed did it. That doesn't mean she did, but it fits. In order for any theory where O'Keefe was murdered inside the house to work, an incredible amount of unlikely things have to happen. Not only does a huge conspiracy involving dozens of people have to take place, it doesn't take dozens of people, but some pretty wild stuff. Start with the phone. It stopped moving at 12:31. If John was killed in the house, that means 3 minutes after he was attacked while he was technically still alive. And by the way, this is one thing I'm going to bring up with him is that, okay, so the phone data is legitimate when it's John's phone. But when it's Jen McCabe's phone, it's up for interpretation. Why is that? If John was killed in the house, that means that minutes after he was attacked, while he was technically still alive, someone took that phone and threw it out in the snowy yard. Yeah. I've watched my videos. You know, I've been talking about, if you've watched my videos, you know, I've been talking about since the beginning. Turtle never talks about it. I have talked about that. So that's just incorrect several times, which means the defense doesn't. Why? Not sure. I have floated as a theory to how the phone got there. Maybe the guys inside were that clever. It's really not that clever. You just take it and put it outside. They knew they couldn't bring the body out with Reed still parked there. They couldn't bring the body out because he was alive. And there was too much, like, yes, her still being there was absolutely a problem. And people still being in the house that would have to leave was still a problem. So they tossed the phone into the yard near her car. Why doesn't the defense, through Turtle, come on, talk about it? Well, I have talked about that. Because it's far-fetched. It's not far-fetched at all. Why? And I have talked about it. Why would they toss the phone out into the yard? It can't be because as cops, they knew the phone would eventually be tracked into the house by tower data. And I'm going to explain to him about that because the phone was already in the house. I guess in theory, it's better for that data to show the phone out there sooner rather than later. Say when they carry the body out at 12:35, but that seems very unlikely. In the May hearing, the defense floated a new idea in court that there was only a small group of accomplices in the house, maybe 3, and the others didn't know. Therefore, the defense attempted the body was not brought out until after the guest left. Turtle says maybe now, not until 5 a.m. I think it was before 5 a.m. But I don't fault the defense or Turtle. The defense only has to create doubt. They can do that in many ways with many theories. Turtle should be floating different theories too. But anyone who prefers to be objective is going to try theories like this, like that from both sides. You don't prefer that. I've only had 2 sources, but I don't claim to have a lot, and I don't claim to have any sources give me any kind of reliable info. I was told a week before Turtle reported it that the FBI had taken over the investigation. My source is law enforcement and went to high school with Brian Albert. However, I have no reason to think my source has more than rumor. I mean, that's just a fact. That is an undeniable fact that the FBI or that the U.S. Attorney's Office is involved in investigating this. Turtle tells you to just trust him. And when I said trust him, it was about something different, but that he knows the feds have an investigation going. And if you don't trust him, then he says, F you. I didn't say F you. I'm like, well, you can believe me or not. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Do you like that kind of approach where he can't tell you what specifically he knows or he knows it, but just trust him or F you? For me, anyone who accepts information uncritically is not looking for the truth or for journalism. So that's fair. You know, I get it. You can't just take the trust you as a fact. I get that. I can explain what I meant by that later. They just want to join a cult. I like Turtleboy's show. I think Turtleboy has an important role in things, but he's not Jim Jones, not for me. Okay. So we're going to bring on, let's see, Kevin now. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Do I have to click on this?
If you don't, I mean, if you're not appropriate.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here, brother. I'm here.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying if you don't want to show your if you don't want to show your face, you don't have to.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do I have to click on here?
Oh, you have to click. Oh, you never used StreamYard?
I did it for the first time today, but I used it. I started the cast. So what do I have to click here?
So it should say stop screen. Are you on a computer?
Yeah.
Okay. So along the bottom, there's buttons that say mute, stop cam, settings, stop screen. So you probably have stop cam on right now, right? So click that. There we go. Okay. And go to settings. And then hit camera. And pick your camera. You got to switch on cam. So I'm going to watch. This is me when I turn my camera off. I turn my camera off.
Yeah.
And then so on the bottom it says start cam, and I hit start cam.
I see it. I'm on the wrong camera.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay.
All right.
Thank you for joining us. Joining us, Kat. Appreciate that.
No, I'm glad to be here, man. I would have been here anyways. Just I would have been watching from the other side. So I always watch the show.
So I have watched your show a number of times. I do like it. I think you have an interesting way of talking to people. It's soothing. And, I think it's fair and straightforward. I enjoyed your first video that I saw about the is Turtleboy a hero or whatever, a fraud, the villain, whatever it was. And I thought it was really fair the way you did it. So you are from my neck of the woods, correct? You're a Worcester guy?
I actually grew up in Lawrence, Mass, but I went to Clark University in Worcester, and then I spent about 25 years in there. I was a bartender at the Blarney Stone, and I eventually owned Leachman's
Wait a minute. A bartender at the Blarney? Have we met?
I'm sure it's somewhere along the way.
I used to live at the Blarney Stone and play that Buck Hunter.
What years?
The summer of 2009. I was there every day, every day.
At that point I was the owner of Leachman's, so I would have been at Leachman's pub.
And I graduated from Leachman's and I went to the Blarney. I got sick of the Leachman's soundtrack after a while. Garth Brooks in the same and pour some sugar on me.
Places.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And then the stickiness, it was disgusting in there. But anyway.
Yeah. Because it was busy.
It was busy, yeah. But anyway, welcome aboard. So like I said, I've watched some of your shows and I do like it. But I did read your Reddit post. And I think there was an accompanying video. I was planning on watching it on my way home from Canton today, but I ended up watching your interview with Sean on the Golf, which was much more interesting. I thought that was fascinating. I mean, Sean on the Golf is great, right? I mean, that guy's sharp. When it comes to police stuff.
I wanted to. There was breaking news that he broke to me. You're probably already aware of this, but I wanted to make sure you were. He mentioned in the interview how at 5 a.m., Kerry Roberts called the Canton police looking for John.
I heard that. And I think there's so many reports. So Kerry Roberts called the police. That must have been after. So that must have been after she was contacted by Karen, I'm guessing.
Right.
And so I do understand that. I understand. To me, that's not as shady as people think it is, because if I find out somebody's missing, right? I don't know where, they hadn't found the body at that point. Yeah. Wouldn't one of the first things you do to be call local area hospitals to see maybe he left and got something happened, got hit by a car, they brought him there? I mean, I don't think that's that shady.
But the interesting thing to me is I'd really love to see a transcript of that call, because what did she say? If she said, so for instance, if she's trying to get them to go looking for John, did she say, A, he's a Boston cop, because otherwise they're probably not going to go looking, and B, he was dropped off at 34 Fairview. So did they dispatch a car? And if they did, wouldn't it have seen John on the lawn?
Right. So so that's we're gonna obviously look more into that when I have time. Unfortunately, I was in Canton all day, and we're gonna get to. Did you happen to watch any of the roll? You guys were streaming during the rolling rally, I believe.
We didn't. You know what? That was the only time he could do it. And actually, my friend Tom Fleming, another guy, said, "Hey, you're doing it during the rally." I said, "Oh, I'll just have to watch the replay then."
Yeah. So, all right. So I do want to talk about your post, because I'm not like, bringing on the bus balls. I just like to have conversations like this.
That's okay.
And just to clarify things, because some of these things do have answers that you've talked about. So I want to start from the top here. You said that. So, all right. So let's address my first critique of it. My first critique was this idea. I kind of accuse you of doing what I call both sidesism. And, I get the need and the urge to be like, oh, well, I don't want to seem biased. Like I admit I'm completely biased towards the defense, right? I'm fully on board. I cannot possibly imagine a way. If Karen Reed confessed tomorrow, I still wouldn't believe it. Okay. The only way I'd believe it is a video like that. That's it. So do you get where I'm coming from with that? Where like, I don't think you always have to just think like, I feel like don't you think we've heard from the other side, we've given them a chance to explain themselves and they haven't?
Yeah, so I hear your point about both sidesism, and I agree. There are times when it just doesn't make sense. So in my case here, I don't consider myself a journalist. I have a very small, I only have a couple thousand subscribers. So, so I'm not necessarily playing both sidesism. But the other thing too is that what you were looking at there was a Reddit post that was a response that came in about 8 o'clock in the morning that I expected nobody would read except for that guy who was basically coming after me. And if you read the post above with his original comment, it's kind of hostile.
Yeah, let me read it. It says, I don't understand why you continue to play both sides in this case. You say you're not convinced, but don't share the reasons why. You're giving alternate theory. Why is that for your audience? I don't think you have info you're holding back. Okay.
Yeah. No. So in my cases, all I'm trying to do is, as I've done all my life since I was a kid, I follow the truth. What I think the truth is. If I have questions, I ask them. I mean, and this is what got you started in the business. You were doing a sports thing, but you were willing to challenge the conventional. You didn't just listen to what the Boston Globe reported. You challenged it. You asked questions. I do the same thing, and I would really like to see. And I understand in your role here is to play it from a side, and you need to do that. We need that, because you're the only one taking that side. But I would definitely like to see other people that are in our audience, yours and mine, and just everybody in general, to question things. So for instance, in this case here, you started I got text when you broke the story. I got texts from 2 sources in law enforcement that morning. Go to this Turtleboy site, which I hadn't really been to before. And I said, go to this site. He's breaking this story, and they totally, by the way, support everything you're doing. And so I went there, and I remember the original headline, I think, or very early on, it was about the how long to die in the cold. And there's no question that if she made that search at 2:27 a.m., it's all over. There is a conspiracy. There's no question that she's making that search if she's innocent. There's no question about that. But I don't know. I'm not a forensic data analyst. And if I was, I haven't been given that report. All I have is what's been fed to us by the attorneys from one side and the other, and that's it. So I have no way to evaluate it objectively. What's that?
So let's talk about that, because I think we both agree, and that's a good starting point, that if the Google search, the 227 Google search happened, it means there's a conspiracy, and it means Karen Reed didn't do this. So that's a good starting point. So but to me, with that, it's like it is like and so let me just read the issues I took with your paragraph here. You said, we don't know McCabe searched the 227. Why do you say that?
Because we don't know. We have a report from some Jeff Green or Green. I mean, I'm thinking of Richard Green. I'm thinking of Jeff Green from the Celtics, but Richard Green, who I can't vouch for him. I mean, to me, it seems reasonable that he wouldn't want to ruin his reputation by just writing a report that only for the purposes of the defense. So I'm inclined to say he might be doing his job, but then again, there are now 2 experts on the other side who we don't know anything about them either.
Who are they? Who are the 2 experts?
We don't know. One of them is Trooper Guarino,
Well,
and the other one is just,
what makes Trooper Guarino an expert?
I have no reason to say that he is or it isn't an expert. I just know there's nobody objective here that's looked at this data. That's what I wish they could make that.
Richard Green does this for a living. He owns a company that does forensic audits. He was the guy that Alan Jackson hired to, he exonerated Kevin Spacey. Like, this is what he does for a living. Trooper Guarino
is he getting paid?
Have you read his affidavit?
Yeah, and he's getting paid by the defense side, and the defense knows how to go shopping for people that will. This is common in every legal case. The defense, any good defense team, and these guys are the best. They know how to go shopping for people that'll support their case. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
so
does that make sense?
It's if you read his affidavit and what he swore to on there, like he addresses those things, and I guess he could be lying. I guess, but
or making a mistake.
Like Richard Green has a reputation as a very highly respected person who would never jeopardize his own, this is his livelihood. This is what he does. He's the guy who digs up shit when you delete it. Like, that's his specialty. And I said this earlier today, that it is really a problem with our judicial system that only wealthier people have access to people like Richard Green. In a truly equal society, every criminal defendant should have access to someone like Richard Green, right? Because in this day and age, if we're going to be using cell phone technology to convict people in court, everyone, like, you should not have to pay extra for this. I assume he cost a decent amount of money because his time is valuable, and he's put a lot of work into this, and he's probably one of the few people in the country that does it this way. So I just feel like, that's another story, but I feel like everyone should have access to that. But also, like I tell you, there's a 92-page affidavit from Richard Green in which he explains all of this. And then, I mean, have you read the prosecution's response to that?
I don't have any of the original documents. So this is why I messaged you that if you could somehow put them together. I'd like to see you, if you could maybe get someone on your team to put them on Reddit at some point. So all I'm able to do is read what you put there, which thank God you do, because that's all I have. And I read, especially focus on what you highlight. But if I had the documents, I could highlight things myself. So I'm not saying that's your job, but obviously
I'd have to go through. I did one of the blogs a couple months ago where I just put all of the PDFs in one document. It's in the 78-part series. I forget what number it is. Okay, it's in there. It just has all the PDFs. Because, like you said, it would take like hours.
Yourself on our end is what I'm saying. So, I mean, it'd be great if we actually had the access to the PDFs. If somebody on your team could find a way to put them on Reddit, where other people could have access to them.
I hate Reddit so much. I hate it. But the other thing about it is that I'm not sure if you read. So the other woman's name is, first of all, Trooper Guarino is not an expert. Like, he's a Norwood cop who became a state trooper. He had one swing and a miss. By the way, he was also the cop. And I'm planning on doing a story about this, about the Sandra Birchmore case. Did you follow that as well?
No.
Sandra Birchmore was a girl. She grew up in Stoughton, the town next to Canton, and she was found dead in her apartment 2 years ago, allegedly killing herself. And as it turns out, this girl, she was part of this program in high school called like the Explorers or the Cadets, where the police come in and they whatever. She wanted to be a cop, and she ended up sexually groomed, like literally groomed. She had sex with one of her commanders, or one of the people that was in charge, a guy by the name of Matt Farwell, and then he passed him off to his twin brother Billy Farwell, who's also a Stoughton cop, and then a guy named Dan Devine. They all had sex with her. And Matt Farwell impregnated her. She was pregnant when she died. He is seen going into her apartment and then leaving, and he's the last person. And she was found. I don't know if do you watch The Wire?
Oh, it's a great show. Yeah.
How does 𝗵𝗔𝗄𝐿 die? You remember that scene?
Oh man, that was 10 years ago or more, but that was a great.
𝗵𝗔𝗄𝐿 was in prison and he gets killed. Stringer Bell has him off, and then they make it seem like he did it. Because they make it seem like he killed himself. They tie something around a doorknob, and then because that's how people kill themselves in prison when they're out of ideas. That's how the options. That's how they killed. That's how Sandra Birchmore was found. Like, people don't kill themselves like that if they're not in prison. Like they have no, like that's the worst way to kill yourself. So that's how they found her. And she happened to live in Canton, right on the Canton-Stoughton line. So guess who the responding officer was? The first one to get there.
Proctor?
Lank. Sergeant Lank.
From the Canton.
Yeah, he was the first one there. And they immediately just ruled it as a suicide. And that was the end of it. And Matt Farwell has been fired. He has since moved away. And that's it. So I guess that's the end of that. But anyway, just the woman's name who actually, so to me, he's not, and in that, where I was going with that whole story and that investigation, Nicholas Guarino was involved in the investigation, and he was the cell phone extraction guy. And I got to bring up this report, but in the report, he actually said, let me see if I can find it. I got this sent to me. Give me 1 second. He actually talked about how he can't find deleted messages. Hold on. Okay, yeah, this is it. So I'm going to read this. This is from a police report. Subject: Matthew Farwell personal and work cell phone analysis. On February 9th, Matt Farwell consented to a data extraction of his personal iPhone 11, which was then extracted by Trooper Nicholas Guarino. On April 26th, I received Matthew's work cell phone from the Stoughton Police Department. Through Matthew's attorney, consent was given for a data extraction, which was performed by Trooper Nick Guarino. I analyzed both of these phones and did not find any communication with Sandra Birchmore. Matt had said in a previous interview that he deleted all communications with Sandra Birchmore. So this trooper, who is the expert on cell phones, Matthew Farwell's like, I deleted the messages. And so he's like, oh, well, I guess we can't find him. That's what he put. Like, I'm reading his report. This guy doesn't know the first thing about cell phone technology, like nothing. And so to call him an expert is absurd. And the other woman is named, who they now claim is their new expert, who has not been voir dired or anything like that, is a woman by the name of Jessica Hyde, I believe her name is. And in her report, she says, this is her exact wording, that the 227 Google search is quote unquote unclear. She doesn't say it doesn't happen. She just says it's unclear. And she has not been cross-examined or asked the questions. They're hiding her because they canceled the evidentiary hearing, whereas the defense wanted the evidentiary hearing. Don't you think that's a little suspicious?
Well, I think they canceled the evidentiary hearing because of the defense made a really disastrous gamble in trying to subpoena Proctor and Guarino, and the judge wasn't going to put up with that. And I think the defense guys are smart. The defense lawyers were smart enough to know that was probably not going to fly, but they took the chance on doing it because the judge had made such positive remarks in the motion on the dog, because the judge said basically the defense has a reasonable theory that he went into the house. So they seized on that and said, all right, let's try to get Proctor on the stand, because then we can really blow this open. But I don't think a judge is normally going to allow that, and the judge got mad. So you're going to eventually hear from all these guys testify, but in trial,
But with Guarino, you understand that, like, if they are contesting the legitimacy of that Google search, they have to bring Guarino on because he's the one that says there was nothing on there. Right. So like that's a completely legitimate person to have it on. And they could have had the hearing. She could have said, fine, no Proctor, no Guarino. Let's hear from Richard Green. Let's let both sides, who the defense flew up here already. Let both sides, like the prosecution is saying that Richard Green is wrong. Isn't it incumbent upon them to question him and show the judge and the court that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, that he's incorrect?
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I do tend to think that what happens in this case here is the judge maybe was a little, they get pissed. They're very, if you've ever been in court at all for anything, which I know you have, judges can take things very personally. And she didn't like the fact that they were going to put the cops on trial, essentially. And now she overreacted by canceling the evidentiary hearing. I don't think she should have. I mean, Green was there. We should have heard him because one of the reasons we should have heard him, because it should have impacted her ruling on whether or not the defense would have access to the data on Albert's phone. And so I hope that data has at least been preserved. I don't know. But and just one more thing on Guarino. Yeah, I mean, I reported this in one of my early videos that you look at this Richard Green, his professional reputation is at stake here. Whereas with Guarino, if he's wrong on this, he's got a union job. He's not going to get fired. Nothing's going to happen to him.
Yes.
So there is that kind of imbalance there. Although but then 𝗟𝗏 introduced another expert. I guess her name is Hyde. I don't think.
Yeah.
But anyways, so to me, until you see these guys testify and see see all of them under cross-examination, it's hard to make a determination.
Isn't Jessica Hyde contradicting what Nick Guarino says? Because she found it. She said there was a 227 search. It's just unclear what it was. Nick Guarino came back and it's like, he didn't see anything about any search.
Possibly. I mean, but you have to really see them under cross-examination to see what they're really saying. So I don't know. 𝗟𝗏 was very clear that she was. Now maybe 𝗟𝗏 was over interpreting what Hyde said by saying that Trooper Guarino was correct, which seemed to be what he was saying in the thing. So I mean, you chalk it up to it's a little bit suspicious, but stuff goes on like this in trials, and you have to kind of stand back and look at it clearly.
How come every other time? In every other case, I mean, we had a case the other day, like Brian Walsh, his Google searches, nobody questioned those. Why is it in this case when they find deleted Google searches, it's all of a sudden not legitimate? But in every other case, did you follow the Carly Russell thing? The missing Alabama girl that she Googled a bunch of like Amber, like how much do you get paid for an Amber Alert and all this shit? She faked her own disappearance. She pulled a 𝗃𝗃𝗃.
Right.
And
it goes on a lot. Right.
And then, like, nobody's saying, well, those aren't real. Like, why is this the only case where it's like, well, those aren't real? And if you're going to make the statement and say those aren't real, isn't it incumbent upon you to prove that they're not real?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's going to happen in the trial.
And how come Nick, so Hyde said that she was looking for a basketball thing, right? At 227.
Yeah.
So how come Guarino didn't report that she was looking at basketball at 227?
And I don't know. And I actually thought it was Guarino that said that, but I don't even. Yeah, I knew.
No, Guarino was like, no, she was passed out. She was sleeping. Yeah. Nothing came up. So that brings me into my next thing that you posted about here. So let me ask you, why do you assume? So you're saying that we cannot assume the legitimacy of the report about Jen McCabe's searches, but we can for John's phone. Why is John's phone legitimate and Jen's not?
Well, I would say that that's the part of John's phone that is still open to interpretation is the health app data, because there seems to be a dispute between the defense and the prosecution about how to interpret that data. And we in the public don't know until somebody unless they put it out in a way that another data analyst that's neutral can look at it. We don't know. But I don't think anybody on either side is disputing that the phone last moved at 12:31, right?
No, the phone moved at 12:31, and there was a little confusion about that. I want to get into because I have actually addressed this. So let me read your post here. You said that, of course, I've shared the reason I'm skeptical many times. Let's start here. O'Keefe stopped moving at 12:31. Okay, I dispute that. O'Keefe,
the phone stopped moving.
The phone, there's a big difference there.
And I always say that you're typing something quick at Reddit and you're taking one post, but I'm actually normally very careful. And I always say the phone, because my theory was early on, I think I even go over it later in that same post you read, that the phone was tossed into the yard. So obviously if that's the case, then O'Keefe, his body or alive or dead, moved sometime after that, which is if you had to push me into a corner and say what my basic belief was, my belief is that he did go into the house, he got into a fight, he got smashed on the back of the head, and maybe somewhere at 12:29 they were looking for his phone, whether it came out in the fight or it was in his pocket. Somebody took Jen McCabe's phone and called him. That's how they found the phone, because at that time at 12:29
it was answered. The 12:29 call was answered
8 seconds. So I think whoever found the phone hit accept probably accidentally and then realized it and then disconnected it after 8 seconds. So then they took that phone and they said, we've got to get this out of the house. They tossed it into the yard, and that would have been at 12:31, 12:32. And then 5 minutes later at 12:35, that's when Jen she next texted O'Keefe. And then again at 12:45. No, I'm sorry. She texted him at 12:40 and 12:45.
Yeah,
So
and then she called him
around that-
6 times between 12:40 and
and
12:50.
called him in between. So what they were doing was looking for his phone in the snow for some of those. So
you think they were looking
while
for
they're
his
taking
phone?
the body out.
You think that's what that call was? Her looking? She called him 6 times.
I
looking
think
for
at
the
least
phone?
some of those. Well, I think some of those could have been looking. They're making the phone light up in the snow, and then they threw the body on it. That was my.
What time do you think? So what time do you think the body was put out there?
Well, see, to me, that would make sense that the body would have to go out right when they waited till Karen left, and when they saw her drive off, they brought the body out. But I don't know if that fits the data too, where where his body was not frozen. I don't think I think his core temperature was maybe in the 80s still when they found him. So I don't know.
So I don't think, in my opinion, I do not think that he was put out there that early. I initially did, but the more I think about it, that doesn't make sense. First of all, you're taking way too much of a gamble. Keep in mind, people were still rolling up to that house. Ryan Nagel rolled up to that house right after Karen Reed, right? What if somebody else rolls up to that house at 12:45 and there's a body? They can't take that chance. They need to wait. And
well, they
why
can if they're going to say he was hit. Because somebody finds the body and they say, oh, it's the same thing. He never came in here. He must have got hit by her. Right? So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think the plan, and I listened to your thing with Sean today. I don't think the plan was ever to blame the car, because the car's not believable. The car's a stupid story. They should have stuck with the glass. The glass is a much better story. And I think that is what they went with. Come on. Why do you think that there were the only thing found around his body were pieces of the cocktail glass? That was put there on purpose. And it makes a hell of a lot more sense, the shot glass or the cocktail glass, in that, okay, well, maybe that could explain the gash in the back of that. Maybe he was turned around and she snuck up behind him like a crazy bitch and bashed him in the head, and it smashed everywhere and it made his eyeballs come out. And then she started cutting his arm up, and with the shards, that does make more sense than back to him with the
crushed bones in his skull, though, with a glass, a 98-pound woman.
I know it's very unlikely. It's a fairy tale, but if
somebody hit him outside, it was a male with a more serious weapon than a cocktail glass.
Agreed. But that was the best they could come up with on short notice. It was pan. I mean, this was done quickly. So I think that was the plan. Yeah. Right. I think that Proctor got a little ahead of himself when, as soon as she started talking about, did I hit him? Did I hit him? They're like, oh, maybe we can work with something. Maybe we can do this here. And he's like, maybe I get the car, maybe I get the taillight, and then maybe we sprinkle. But I think that was a stupid move in hindsight, because that's even less believable. That's more laughable than the thing we were just laughing at, that Karen Reed hit him with a shot glass.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, it's we all have different parts of this case that we seize on as bizarre, and there's a lot of things in the case that are hard to explain, maybe one way or the other. For me, the thing, and you heard me talking about it with Sean today, that's always bothered me, is there's this crushing blow to the back of the head, but yet there's no bruises on the body, on the legs, on the shoulder, on the back. I cannot imagine, and I don't see how the state has to explain how that can happen. I cannot imagine how a taillight could hit. A taillight's what, about, I think I looked it up, it's about 28 inches off the ground. This guy's 6'2". Somehow her taillight hits a 6'2" guy in the back of the head, and he has no bruises on his arms or shoulders or legs. It does, it's hard to make sense of that.
So if a car was coming at you, and it was backing into you, and you're facing the car, what would be the first part of your body to get impacted?
Well, if you don't turn away, it would be if you're leaning forward, it would be your face, your head.
I think, no. If you're just standing upright, and the car's backing into you, what would be the first part to strike the car? What part of your body?
I'd say your legs.
I'd say your hands.
Oh, if you put out, sure,
right, if you're facing it, it would, and then it would push you, and it would hit your side, and it would break your pelvic bone and stuff like that. You wouldn't look like that. Which now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking out loud, it just kind of came to me. Because I'm thinking, if the plan was to blame the Lexus, couldn't they have, John, they look at his body, they're like, that doesn't look like it was hit by a Lexus. They could have beat the shit out of his dead body. They could have caused some bruises on there, right? They could have hit him.
I don't think a dead body will bruise. I'm not sure.
Dead body won't bruise?
I'm not a medical person. So I think that's one of the ways you can tell if somebody was for instance, if they're looking at a kid that was taken, and if there are bruises, then they know that kid was tortured before he was killed, before she was killed or he was killed. I'm not sure about that, so you'd have to get someone more medical than me on. But I think the bruising is a sign of the person being alive.
Okay. I think he was technically alive. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not a medical person, but I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, if I was them and I want to make it seem like the Lexus did it, I'm going to hit his body a few times. I'm going to try to break something, do something, because you throw him out there, you're like, this doesn't look like he was hit by a car. That's what makes me believe when they put him out there, the plan was not the car. The plan was the shot glass to the head. I think that was the plan, which is dumb, but not as dumb as the Lexus. Would you agree?
And there may have
that?
been no specific plan. They may have just said, let's just get this body out of the house and figure it out later.
That's true.
So I think recently your position now is that you think that they drove the body out, right?
Yes. That's what makes the most sense to me.
Do you think if you were in their situation, you would drop it off on your own front lawn, or would you just take it somewhere further away?
No, because you can't. I understand, like, you can't do it like mafia style. You can't like chop it up and throw them away, because then, Karen Reed's going to come looking for him. And they're going to find, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. You're going to have to answer for this. So you got to put the body on the lawn. Like, it was their only choice.
And so, why wouldn't you put it in the gutter so you could at least kind of go with the, I know
they should have put it in the street. Putting it on the lawn was dumb. Like, that was very dumb. They should have put it in the street. But I think that the car theory, taking it out, I think it happened somewhere between 3:30 and 4. I think they planned on this. There's a reason she Googled how long to die in the cold at 2:27. It's like the plan was to put him out there. They needed to know, okay, when can we put him out there to make sure that he passes away, he doesn't wake up. And I would estimate around 3:30 to 4. That would be my guess. I have no proof of that, but to me, it's the smartest move, because if you look at the house, they can move that body without being seen into the garage, put it in his car, and then make sure it's all, he's bled out on the floor. It's not going to get, blood's not going to get all over his car. And then he's going to back it up, and he's going to use it as like a shield for the ring cameras across the street. And then you put the body there. I think Brian Higgins was there, and I think he was kind of keeping an eye out. And I think they just left it there.
He was logged in at the police by 1:30.
Yeah, and then he left. I'm guessing.
I thought you were saying he was there at 3:30.
Right. Like, logging in allows him to leave the police department. He doesn't have to.
He logged in and went back to okay, I see.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. At that point, he's got an alibi, so we can go back to the Albert house and be like, oh, well, they think I'm over here. So, I think
pick up the car.
Would the ring?
It may not pick up what they were doing, but it would pick up the car backing out or pulling out at that time.
Whose ring camera?
The ring camera across the street. That
the ring cameras that they never subpoenaed. The ring cameras those ring cameras could probably show us a lot.
Yeah,
but they don't.
It might not have picked up in the dark. I don't know. Those things are pretty good, but it might not have picked up in the dark someone getting hit, I guess, or a body lying there. But it definitely would have picked up taillights or headlights pulling out of the driveway, right?
Yeah, you would think so, but again, that takes a trooper that actually wants to see the video, and they didn't want to see the videos. Let's see, I got a message from somebody that says that postpartum bruising is technically possible, but super, super rare. So I'm not sure how legit that is, but you might be right about that. Okay, so back to this whole thing I was reading here. So so he stopped. So Reed got home at 12:41. The drive is normally about 7 minutes, but it was snowing. Reed was drunk and didn't know the area. That puts her leaving Fairview sometime around 12:31. I don't dispute that. I think she left around 12:29. That'd be my guess. The timeline.
So it's a pretty big coincidence, though, isn't it? It fits the timeline. That it is. I don't mean to interrupt you, Eden. This is just one of the things that also gave me pause when I first was looking at, maybe a couple weeks into the case and realizing she got home at 12:41. They know that with accuracy. They know the phone stopped moving at 12:31. It suspiciously fits the timeline of her hitting him. Doesn't that also fit the timeline that if she leaves at 12:29, then they're watching her. They're like, is this bitch ever going to leave? Like, we need to get this phone out of the house. We can't get the body out now, but at least we can get the phone out and move that phone. And we cannot do it till she leaves. Wouldn't that make sense that she leaves at 12:29 and the phone is put there at 12:31? Yeah, and that goes back to my theory that she was probably, I figured she probably left more about like 12:32, so they tossed the phone, maybe even 12:33, and they tossed the phone out before that. But yeah, I mean, but those are,
She would have noticed it. She would have noticed them
but
putting
still,
the phone.
you still can't get away from the fact that if you just whittle away all the extraneous stuff at the core, you still have a case where she just happened to be getting home in a timeline that fits perfectly if she left when his phone stopped moving on the lawn. Doesn't mean she did it. I'm just saying it is, when I saw that, I was like,
Wait, so what are you saying? Walk me through that.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that it fits a timeline that she left right around the time when he stopped moving or his phone stopped moving. The timeline fits pretty much perfectly. It doesn't mean she did it. Like I said, there could be other explanations for that, like we've talked about, but it does fit that timeline suspiciously close.
But the phone was moving ascending and descending stairs. How can the phone do that in her car?
Yeah, again, this is another thing, and I've tried to find out what I can on this too. And so I don't know. I mean, again, we're taking the testimony of one guy, Green. I'm not saying he's wrong, and I'm not saying he's not qualified. I don't know anything about his qualifications. I looked up his company, but I mean, that doesn't really tell me anything. But I mean, so a phone, as far as my understanding, which is probably wrong, I was wrong about the black box. I had to learn a lot about that too. But my understanding would be a phone would be tracking your location and your elevation, right? And then it's using an algorithm to determine things like your speed. So whether you're jogging or whether you're driving, and then it's making it so if you're at a location where there's a house and you change elevation, it's kind of assuming you're going up and down the stairs, right? Would I be wrong on that, or is that a reasonable?
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah.
So you can't, but if it's not completely accurate, for instance, if it's pinging, I don't think it ping, like I used to, when I was jogging, I used to have a health app, and clearly I could tell from it that it's pinging like every 2 minutes. It's not pinging every second, and it's coming up with estimations. So does it know that he was inside the house, or does it know that he walked up to the house? And there is a little bit of a driveway there. So I'm an elevated driveway.
That's not elevated. I was there today. It's completely flat. That's like the flattest driveway. Like, how can you possibly explain the phone ascending and descending 3 flights of stairs if he's not inside of a house?
I can't. What I'm saying is all right. So here's an example. And again, none of this really fits Adam Lally's theory, anyways. But let's just say,
does he even have a theory?
No, he doesn't seem to.
I've yet to hear a theory.
But let's just say he walks to the house and walks up the front outdoor stairs, but doesn't go into the house. And then he walks over and he says, "Oh, these are the wrong stairs." And he goes over to the other stairs. What's
outdoor stairs? What outdoor stairs? There's no outdoor stairs.
There's brick stairs that lead up.
But he would have gone in. See this?
I would think so, but we don't know that for sure.
It's one step. It's literally just one step.
What's the other one?
The other one is.
I think the other one actually has
maybe two. But nobody goes in the other one. The other one's like the decorative one. That one leads to the living room. The other one, that's the door everyone goes in the house. You can tell, like, everybody uses that door to come in. And
which door was McCabe in?
I don't know which window he stands and looks out of. He wasn't actually, like, spoiler alert, he wasn't looking at all. He made that whole thing up. Matt McCabe is a liar.
Well, which door does he claim to be in? Because he was in the door.
It was a window. Was it a window or a door? He said he was in.
No, it was the inside door was open and the storm door. So he was basically at the storm door looking out. I think presumably waiting for John. But I don't know which one. Why
would you be waiting for John? Cool. I hope John gets here soon. Really, party could come up without John. Like, this grown man is sitting there thinking that. Like, oh,
it's so kind of shy at a party. I don't know, but
if you were on a jury, could you convict Karen Reed? What would it take?
No, God no.
What would it take to convict her?
I think I don't think it's going to be possible unless one of your subscribers just said, unless there's actual video that shows her hitting him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but what we're talking about here is not just convicting her, but trying to determine whether there was a conspiracy involved, unless did somebody else do it. So it's not just about establishing reasonable doubt for Karen. If somebody else committed the crime, we have to shine the spotlight on them. Maybe that's what the federal investigation
that requires an investigation. I mean, to be honest, like, this murder could have been solved in 5 seconds if like they went in that house and did what they normally do in a murder investigation. This would have been over the next day. Like, let's be honest.
Oh, the investigation, and we we and Sean went about it at length today, was absolutely, and we only touched on parts of it. There's so many, you've touched on most of them. I mean,
that's why I like Sean, because he comes from a cop's perspective.
Right. And you don't always know, though, the difference between this. I think there's 3 different levels of where they can screw it up. One is just shoddy police work. Okay. One is a more passive assistance to somebody, like, like somebody gets in an accident on the side, they're clearly drunk, and you find out they're a cop, and the cops just they look the other way. They don't give them a roadside test, just because they kind of know, but you can't prove any kind of corruption there. That's a more passive kind of thing. So, and then the other thing is where you have a more active role. Like I think you've been suggesting that maybe Michael Proctor might have planted evidence. That's obviously the far extreme of it. So did the police here?
It's extreme when you say it, but when you look at it, I don't think it's that extreme.
Well, I just mean that's the far end of it. That's the worst. That's the worst case scenario for a cop, right? To short of murdering someone himself, right. So the question is like, so for instance, when the police clearly they knew, I was saying this from very early on, the fact that they gathered the blood drops in those cups tells you they wouldn't have gathered them for a hit and run. They would gather
right.
They had to have thought there was a fight there, and they thought it was someone else's blood. So they knew that they knew that at least somebody there, at least one of those cops knew that this was very likely not a hit and run. So there's no excuse for them not going into the house and investigating. But again, the question is whether it was just, there's like, we know who lives there, so let's just lay off this one.
Well, here's my question too. Why didn't the first of all, they didn't interview Karen Reed until what time? 3 or 4 o'clock in Dayton. That's the first time Trooper Proctor actually spoke with her. She's the alleged, she's confessing allegedly at the scene of the crime. And wouldn't one of the first, and nowhere in Trooper Proctor's report when he speaks to her does he make any note of her hands or anything like that? Because if she attacked him, wouldn't the first thing the police if there was some sort of altercation, wouldn't the first thing the police look for are cuts on her? That's always what they look for. Did you have cuts on yourself?
Checking her clothing for blood.
Yeah,
I mean,
confiscating her clothing.
Confiscating her clothing.
They didn't do anything like that.
Or even
none of the regular shit.
And even if you're a cop and you don't buy the idea that a 98-pound woman is somehow killed a 6'2" police officer, and you're going early on with the hit and run theory, well, then you go and take that car. And what's the first time that the police actually looked at that car? It was pretty late.
When they took at 4:12 Michael Proctor says it's 5:30, but it was 4:12. They towed that car from Dayton to the Canton Police Department. By the way, the state police were in charge of that investigation. And Sean brought this up, and he said this before. Why did they bring it to the Canton Police Department?
Yeah.
Why? Who made that call? And what right did they have to make that call? There is plenty of police barracks around there, state police barracks that are closer. It's your investigation. But that happens to be a lot closer to 34 Fairview Road, which is very convenient for the 545 team search, which I'm pretty sure that Michael Proctor knew was going to happen since he's running the goddamn investigation. A couple other things here. By the way, just give me a moment to read a couple turtle chats here. But we got one from Justin, says $5, says there's no turtle chat link on Rumble. Oops, I'll have to put that on there next time. Thank you. He says 𝗶𝗶 𝗂𝗂. Okay, thank you, Justin. But I'm glad you found it. Melinda sends 25 and says, great meeting you today. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Melinda. I really appreciate that. Great meeting you as well. Rob sends 50. Thank you. Rob says, great job with the rally and the entire Canton cover-up. Keep putting up the pressure. We'll do, Rob. I appreciate that. Elizabeth sends 50, and she says, you are the new GOAT. Oh, you're too kind. In town. Thank you for all your hard work on this case. All of UMass Memorial Med PACU support you. Keep up the great work. Free Karen Reed and justice for John O'Keefe. And God bless UMass Memorial. I believe that's the one in Worcester. They my mother beat pancreatic cancer at that hospital. So thank you. I mean, that's a life-saving. We have great hospitals in Worcester. So
your mother beat, I didn't even know you could beat pancreatic.
I didn't even know it either, man. When we got it in April of 2021, we assumed it was like a death sentence, and it was very hard, obviously. And you're like, when you Google pancreatic cancer, and you're like, oh fuck. Yeah. I don't know how the fuck she beat it. but she beat it. I mean, through power of prayer, I don't know what the fuck it was, but obviously great world-class healthcare. People always say you got to go to Boston for it, and you can get great cancer treatment in Boston, obviously, but we have great hospitals in Worcester. So I crap on Worcester a lot, but we have some of the best hospitals in the world here. So
I've had stage 4 lung myself for 5 years.
Have you really?
Yeah, and I get treated at Mass General Hospital in Boston.
5 years you've been stage 4, and it hasn't.
Stage 4, yeah. Widely spread, but yeah, good.
Can you beat it? I mean, I've never heard of someone.
No, but the reason I'm still alive, and not only alive, but feeling great, and I go to the gym every day, and is because of I'm on what's called a targeted therapy. It's just a pill. And now, unfortunately, it's something that's a designer medicine that only works for certain types of cancers. And I was never a smoker. Obviously, I smoked a lot of secondhand smoke in the bars, but I was now in this targeted therapy. In my case, it usually works 18 months, but in my case, I'm 5 years plus and still running. So
wow, good for you.
Medicine.
That's amazing.
The wonders of medicine,
modern medicine. God, but we're lucky to live in this country. So thank you, Elizabeth. I really appreciate that. Megan sends $5, says, I never understood the question. Why did the defense wait almost a year to come out with this? If you think, first of all, that's based on a lot of people say that why did the defense wait so long? They didn't. If you go back and read the court filings, they've been saying the stuff that I've been saying for a year. I'm just late to the party. Like, so this has all been going on, but no one was paying attention. This wasn't getting any, that shows you the power of the media. If the media is not talking about it, then you don't know what's going on. And that's like why the media, when Trump used to call everything fake news isn't necessarily the media lying to you. A lot of the time, fake news is what they're not telling you, like what they're not reporting to you, the selective thing. So she goes on to say, if you think logically, wouldn't it be sketchy if they claimed out the gate that Karen was framed? The timeline between figuring out she was framed and building a case makes sense. And you're right. And like, I'm sure when Karen Reed, I don't know how this conversation happened. I'm sure when Karen Reed was like, Michael Proctor did this, I'm sure David Yannetti at some point was like, come on, we can't say that in court. We're going to look silly. We're going to look stupid. Like, we can't go that Michael Proctor framed this. But at some point, the evidence must have just been so overwhelming that even an attorney like David Yannetti was willing to stake his reputation to this theory that a lot of people would call cuckoo, but it's turned out to be perfectly legitimate, in my opinion. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I never have been. I'm not a QAnon guy or any of that stuff. And so, like, I'm like you. I like to be skeptical. But once I've got my mind made up, once I've looked at both sides thoroughly and been, I did look at that. The only time I've ever been a little skeptical about this, slightly, I remember it happening like a week afterwards. Someone was like, what evidence do you have that Colin Albert was in the house? And I'm like racking my brain, and I'm like, I don't know. It was in Alan Jackson's affidavit, but he worked for the defense. And so I'm racking my brain and I'm going through everything. I went through hundreds of pages until I finally found it. So there was Brian Albert is actually the one who put Colin in that house in his grand jury testimony. So like, I do get a little bit worried, and I do question these things. Like, if there's anything I think that, like, can I back this up? I look into it. So, so thank you very much for the dono there. I got another one here from Suzanne, sends $50. She says, genomic profiling creates targeted therapies, support cancer patients because the next one may be you. I mean, I'm not gonna, the odds of me getting cancer are so fucking high. Like, everyone in my family gets cancer. Now, luckily you can beat it. Some have died. My aunt died of brain cancer. That's a horrible one. Brain cancer, like, fuck, like it's a tumor that goes into your, like, it pushes into your fucking brain. It's horrible. You can't talk the last, few months.
I have in my brain from the they're called metastases, but they don't affect me. Not that I know.
Really? Yeah. I mean, a lot of these are, I mean, what's the one? Prostate. That's the one that everyone beats, right? Like, there's one where you get it, and like 99% of people beat that one. But pancreatic worse. So we got another one here from Denise, sends $25. Let me open my Cash App here. Cash App here from Denise. She sends $25, and she says, keep doing the Lord's work. I will do, Denise. I appreciate that very much. Luke Kane says, Luke Kane Butterballs says, for how long before I can see those nips? Yikes. My nips? I don't know. Balowny sends 25 and says, get them all, expose all these corrupt assholes. Will do. Balowny, thank you very much. If anyone else would like to donate, the link to the Turtle Chat is pinned to the top of the chat in the YouTube. You can write a message and with your dono, and I will read it out loud to the class when I get it. I'm also at Cash App, $ Uncle Turtleboy. All right, so back to the business here. So let me go on and a couple other things I want to address that you posted here. And like I said, people are like, oh, who's this guy? It's like, it doesn't, what you are is a person who is challenging this a little bit. And I like that. And I like to have a conversation. Whereas I think you're fair and I think you're open-minded. And I don't like echo chambers. And so if it's just me talking to myself and everybody's agreeing with me, I don't think that's necessarily the best content or healthy. So I like to have people up here who challenge me. And I think some of these things that you've posted, I do have answers for that. I did want to clarify them, and it's easier than doing it in a post, rather just have you on. So you go on to say, so you said this, why doesn't the defense talk about why the phone was out there at 12:31? And then you said, maybe because it seems too far-fetched. So I want to clarify. I have talked about this several times, and I've said that I believe the phone was placed out there at 12:31 because, and you might say that, well, the phone was already in the house. It was in the house for 10 minutes, and they might be able to say, well, we can just explain that was a mistake. It was on our property for 10 minutes, but it was not actually inside the house. So let's just throw it outside right now. That's our first thing. Get rid of the phone. Throw it out, like Jen McCabe, find the phone. Okay. Throw it outside. As soon as Karen leaves, we put the phone right there. I think that's what they did. That was their plan. And then we'll take the body's obviously a lot harder. We'll take care of that in a few hours after we get everyone else the fuck out of here. So I have talked about that.
Just a quick question, Eden. Do you think it's a coincidence that they threw it near the car?
No, I think they did it on purpose. They saw where she was parked and they're like, let's put her. Well, that must be where she dropped him off. So let's put it there. I think that, and I think that had they known that, he was dropped off in the driveway, they would have put it closer to the driveway. So I think they screwed that one up. I mean, it makes no sense to drop them off on the other side to walk diagonally across the lawn. That doesn't make any sense at all. So I did just want to clarify that because we have talked about it. And you said maybe because it seems too far-fetched. I don't think it's far-fetched. I mean, I think it's logical, don't you? I mean, if you were them, wouldn't that be the smart thing to do?
Yeah, and I think what I was saying was the defense team, but yeah, I mean, but you're obviously discussing a lot of most of the things the defense team is discussing. So yeah.
So it goes on to say, why would you toss the phone out in the yard? It can't be because as cops, they knew the phone would eventually be tracked to the house by tower data because the phone was already in the house. I guess in theory, it's better for that data to show the phone out there sooner rather than later. Yeah. So that's exactly what I was saying. You kind of said out loud there, what I was saying. In the May hearing, the defense floated a new idea that there was only a small group of accomplices in the house, maybe 3, and the others did not know. And that's a good point. Therefore, the defense attempted the body was not brought out until after the guests left. Turtle now says maybe not until 5 a.m. I would say between 3:30 and 4. That would be my guess. But that's just a guess. But they did say at that hearing, they suggested that they kind of gave Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson an out. Don't you think?
Give them an out as to like they weren't part of the conspiracy, you mean?
Yeah, they're like maybe they're not part of the conspiracy. Maybe they are actually innocent and they didn't know any of this happened.
Yeah. Because she said is she the one that spotted something that looked like a figure on the lawn?
Yes, she said that she noticed 11 months later. She said that she suddenly remembered that there was a little dark shadowy thing I think on the lawn. I'm not so sure because somebody had to say something that you all can't say there was no body. Somebody must have been like, oh, in my peripheral, maybe it was a body. Now that I think about it, I just didn't notice it. I didn't think too much about it. I was on my phone, but I think she threw that in there.
When you were there, is there a bush there or something that would maybe make a little bit of shadow?
None. It's there's some mulch right there, and he was right on the grass right before the mulch part, in between the flagpole and the fire hydrant. So and they would have gone right past it. They would have gone south, so they would have gone directly past it. And there's no way 4 people in a car would not, especially Jen McCabe sitting shotgun closer to that side of the road. No freaking way. But somebody had to have seen something. So I think that's why she said that, which makes me believe that she's not so innocent, that she's actually an active participant in this. She's also dating Brian Albert Jr. And, you know, I said this when I was at her house today. It's like, you know, maybe in her head, she's thinking like Brian Albert Jr. is going to be my father-in-law someday. He's basically family. Like they've been dating a long time. He's basically family. So she does have reason to lie and cover for the Alberts because that's her boo. Now, I just think Sarah Levinson, I think I disagree with the defense when they said that that only 3 people knew. I think that Sarah Levinson knew exactly what happened. She obviously, I don't think it's possible to kick the shit out of some guy in the house and not know it's happening. I don't believe that.
It would be strange. It would be very strange. So why do you think the defense floated that?
I think they floated it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think they floated it. Number one, I think they were kind of trying to be nice to Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel. Because not accusing them of murder gives them, possibly keeps it open that they might come forward and assist you in the future. Like if you start accusing them of being, they're never gonna come to your side. If you start accusing them of being involved in a murder, I think it was that personally.
Well, I think also they did it. Go ahead, because I know you agreed with this because you said this before on your show. But that the reason that they did this was because they're worried about a perception that if you need a conspiracy to involve 11 people, it's a lot harder to sell than 3 people.
Bingo. That's exactly what it was. Is that it's like, well, 3 makes sense. You can do 3, but 11, come on. Somebody's going to talk with, you know. So I do think that makes it a lot. The less people that they can say knew, the better. The more legitimate their theory becomes. But for the record, I disagree with them. I think Sarah Levinson knew. I think she was scared for her life. I mean, if you're her, you're just like, I ain't rocking this boat. I have a career as a nurse. I didn't see nothing. Like it's so much easier for her to keep her mouth shut. I think that's why she did that. I think she's also a coward. And I think that I don't know how these people live with themselves knowing that. It's like I think that now that one thing we have done, and it was clear today, is we slayed the boogeyman. Like when we were in Canton today, the McCabes were gone. I swear, I think that was on purpose. They just took a vacation 3 weeks ago. Now they're taking one again. There was no sign of any Alberts at any home. The Albert driveway at 1473 Washington Street was completely empty. People tell me that we left there probably around 2. By 3:30, the driveway had 5 cars in it. They were literally waiting us out. And what I'm getting at here, Brian Albert skipped town. He lives in Norwood. What I'm getting at here is that they're cowards now. They're hiding like scared little rats. So like the big to Sarah Levinson's of the world, the big bad wolf isn't so big and bad anymore. You don't need to be afraid. You can come out and tell the truth now, and they don't have the power that they had a month ago. You saw, like, I'm the mayor of Canton now. I said that they're like, this is my town now. Like I have a lot more power in Canton than Brian Albert ever will, like moving forward. Like, so, because I can bring a crowd of thousands of people there now, and we can literally take over your entire town for several hours and be welcomed with open arms. People were on their lawns. People were cheering us on. Like this theory that, you know, everyone in Canton is corrupted in on it is just false. There's like 10 people. It's like 10 people, and everyone else knows what happened and they're disgusted by it. So,
and that's what I heard today from when I finished with Sean. I called a friend and said, you know, what was it like at the rally? You know, he wasn't there. He lives in North Carolina, and he was watching. He says, you know, the thing that was impressed me the most was that people who are not part of it, you know, the people that are following Turtleboy are going to be enthusiastic and supporting him, but neighbors and residents in the area, when they looked around and they said, what's going on here? And they're like, we're here for Kearney. They were all like thumbs up. So everybody seemed to kind of support the cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
So real quick, let me just finish reading this from you. You said that anyone who prefers to be objective is going to try theories like that from both sides. I've had only 2 sources. Okay. I'm analyzing based. Okay. You said I was told a week before Turtle reported on it. The FBI had taken over the investigation. My source is law enforcement and went to high school with Brian Albert. However, I have no reason to think my source has more than rumors. Are you suggesting that you don't you're not convinced that the U.S. Attorney's Office is investigating this?
100%. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't know. You get these rumors behind the scene. And grand jury investigation is super secret. And you saw from when I talked to Sean today, Sean's like, look, even he as even as a former law enforcement officer, I won't ask anybody about it because I totally respect that line there. So I just don't know. I'm not saying it's not going on. And also, what is it predicated on? How was the process there? Who went to? I think I know what you're going to say, but I'd rather have you say
go ahead.
because you have the sources. But no, but I mean, who there had to be a complaint that went to somebody in order with the basis for wrongdoing that would be the basis for an investigation. And we're thinking it's what's his name that maybe possibly went to Karen Reed's lawyers, but I don't really know that. That's all speculation.
Well, what I think is that guy Scanlon went to David Yannetti. David Yannetti contacted the feds.
Yeah, and
I think they have been looking into it since then. And obviously, since the Google search especially have been accelerating there. We do know as a fact that, Kevin Reddington confirmed this, that Jen McCabe was subpoenaed and that she testified in front of the grand jury on May 4th. I've had sources in the courthouse who have told me this. So, I get it. It's not like I can't name the source or anything like that. So that makes it a little less harder to believe for somebody who doesn't know me, who doesn't know anything about my history or my credibility or anything like that. It's a little bit harder of a sell to prove that. I get it. And that kind of brings me to the next thing here that you wrote. And I did want to address this. He said, Turtle tells us to just trust him, that he knows the feds have investigation going on. So when I said the trust us thing, I was talking about that. I said, trust me. It's not, some people had been posting about grand jury stuff and it was being deleted. And I went on this rant. I'm like, don't delete that stuff because that's the only way. Like, people will talk. I get messages from people who have been on grand juries before. And if people want to volunteer information that we don't already have, let them do it. It's not my concern if that person ends up getting in trouble. Like, it's like, that's on you. If you want to come and forward this, give it to me. It's not my job to protect you. It's like, if you want to voluntarily give me this stuff, I say, let them. That's what I meant by that. Is that, like, trust me, it's not going to hurt. Because they were like, you're going to get in trouble for that. I'm like, no, trust me. I'm not going to get hurt by that. And when I say trust us, I guess I get what you're saying. If you're not a believer in me and you're not a follower of me, if I say trust me, that means shit to you, because why would you trust me? You don't know me. You believe facts. That was more of a thing to the people that, like, my reputation precedes me. Like, I would stake, like, I've broken major stories before. I never name sources, and they've all turned out to be true. Like, I've never been sued and lost or anything like that. I've never written anything false or defamatory or anything like that. And I would not risk my own reputation about something if I did not 1000% know it was true. Even though there's some things my hands are kind of tied with about what I can say.
And I guess, what I was doing there is kind of what you're doing here a little bit to my post. So my post was a reaction to not only that post, but that other person, but I had been getting kind of hostile posts from people that are, I guess I'm a turtle rider too. I follow the show all the time, but from people that are loyal turtle riders that were getting very angry that I dared to question any part of the Karen Reed's innocent narrative. And their posts were often hostile and semi-literate, and they scream at me that I get all the facts wrong. And I always say, okay, Tom, come on, here's my phone number. Call me. Tell me what facts I got wrong. So far, no one has ever been able to show one fact that I got wrong. So then there were things people can argue about and disagree with, but no one has ever done that. So I may have been a little reacting a little bit in that Reddit post. I hadn't had my coffee yet. It was early. And but the same thing with you, when you were reacting by saying, hey, because you were angry that day. I was watching and you were like, listen, if you don't believe me, F you, don't watch.
I didn't say F you. I'm like, I said,
you said it with your eyes, at least. I know that.
Yeah. I said, I go, either believe me or don't believe me. I don't know what
you were like, don't come to my blog. You did say that. You said, if you don't believe me, don't come to my blog. If you don't believe me,
why would you read my blog if you don't believe me? I'm like, if you don't believe me, why are you even reading it all? If you think I'm a liar, why are you reading it all?
I have no reason to doubt anything you've reported. but I'm going to always trust but verify with anything. So I'm not going to just accept something that somebody tells you. Now, maybe somebody who's followed you through all the other cases that you've broke, which I wasn't along for that ride, so I don't know about them, but I know you've broken a lot of big cases. And so those people probably understand him would say, hey, trust the dude. He's always, he's always come through on this. But for me, and for a lot of people that are joining up to follow your show now that weren't a part of that, we're kind of like, all right, we enjoy the show. He's breaking the story. It's great. But we're going to, we're not going to just accept everything just because he says it unless there's evidence,
Totally.
So,
it's not the strongest case I make. It's not like, and it pains me because I'm like, oh, there's things I could say. I just can't say it. And eventually it will all come out. I will be able to talk more. But again, when I promise, like if somebody tells me something and they say off the record, I want to hear it. Like, when you're about to hear something juicy and you're like, I could tell you something off the record. And then they tell you something really fucking juicy and you're like, oh my God, I want to tell the world, but I fucking can't because
we just
I promised you,
Let's say a grand juror contacted you and said, I was on the grand jury. And this is exactly what the testimony was like. Now, we have to trust your judgment that you can tell that this person really was telling you the truth, and maybe they're going to give you enough information to do that. But at the same time, you wouldn't be the first person that got duped by someone who just wanted to become a part of a big case.
They would have to verify it to me that they're on the, like, I wouldn't just take that at grant. Like, I'd be like, you need to verify to me that you're actually on the grand jury. You need to tell me something that proves that you're on there. Like the person that, I did hear from somebody who works in Moakley Courthouse, and what made them legitimate, even though they did not use a real name and didn't tell me who they were, is they accurately gave me, and I was able to verify this, the names of the two U.S. attorneys who were spearheading this investigation. And it is Josh Levy and a guy named Adam Deitch, who's also running the Monica Cannon grant. And they have a number of U.S. attorneys there. So the fact that they got the two right, I'm like, that added legitimacy to what they were saying. And it is funny because, like, I guess people sometimes confuse me with Turtle Riders. Like, Turtle Riders are very loyal to me, and I appreciate that, folks, that they really do. But sometimes when Turtle Riders, jump on you or something, like, it associates it with me. And I just ask that, I only want to be judged on the things that I say, not what other people who follow me say. And I think you understand that.
Absolutely. And I've said it on my show, and I've said it to other people that, Turtle is playing his part in this. He is advocating for this side. It's not because he's not advocating one side because he's not objective of himself. It's because he knows all of the forces are aligned on the other side. So his role is to play this one side. And that's different from the citizens and the people that are listening to the show. You would want us all to be thinking for ourselves, I assume, and questioning everything.
Oh, totally. And I'm happy to answer. Like, so some of the things you put on there, I just wanted to answer them. I'm like, because I have floated that theory. Like, I did believe the phone was thrown out there. So I did have answers to some of those, and I just wanted to have you on. But if you think that people are loyal to me, people are more loyal to Karen Reed. Like, Karen Reed, people like me, but people love Karen Reed. Like, and I was feeling that vibe in Canton today. Like, no, like I've written about a lot of assholes before. And when people disparage Karen Reed's name, people have no tolerance for it. It's interesting. But
because everybody really,
and we don't know her. None of them met her. And people just are so loyal to
someone that seems to be a victim of very powerful aligned forces.
Right. And everybody feels bad for her. And I think a lot of people admire her strength because they put themselves in that situation. And I would break down. Most people would break down. I mean, like, it's bad enough you're being charged of murder, but now like every time they just dump on you some more. Like, oh, you get the Google search. This is it. We finally got it. And they're like, nope. Like, it's like, what? And now, like, it's like, now they're trying to take away the 𝗵𝗺𝗺𝗺𝗺 and they're trying to, gag them. It's just like, if you're hurt every day, they just pile more and more shit on you. But so that's what I admire about her the most, is that her strength to just keep moving forward, always never give up, never stop fighting. Because I've had some mental health issues. I've had my times where I've just wanted to give up. And I'm like, how the fuck could I give up when Karen Reed's not giving up? That's the way I look at it. So, but anyway, thank you very much for coming on. Do you have anything else you want to talk about or address?
Yeah, I really would like to see you talk if you have any new information on the case in South Boston, because I think
Oh, right.
this is where, you know, someone I mentioned to somebody earlier today who's kind of liberal, and she's like, "You're going on that show?" I'm like, "Look, you got to understand, even if you're very liberal and you think Turtleboy isn't, and you're the biggest fan of the Boston Globe, you ought to be able to understand that everybody is stacked on one side. You're connected to the power structure in this state. You're connected to one ideology. There's no alternative. You know, the only alternative that's arisen in the last whatever is Turtleboy. That's it. He's the only one that takes the other side. So even if you don't like his approach to things, he's the only one that's going to take on those causes. And it's absolutely essential to have that. We don't have a balanced system. And, you know, I mean, so hopefully she's watching right now. But
what does that have to do with the South Boston?
Oh, I'm sorry. The South Boston case. You're the only one that really took that on. I first heard about it through you. I guess this was the one where the 4 kids were in the house.
Yeah, and it's a shame that had to be political. It's like, why is this a right wing, left wing thing? Like that it's bad to party with, I guess, because they were transgender. I mean, that's what if it was just 4 regular non-transgender people in a house doing drugs and somebody dies and there's kids there, we would all agree that's bad. But because it was transgender, that's what made it political for some reason. And that's
because for a certain part of people with woke ideology, that group has attained protective status. Mm-hmm. So anything to do with them, anything that might harm their issues. And that's the problem. I have nothing.
Anything that makes them look bad too. Like anything that makes they don't want that story talked about, because then they're gonna be like, right wingers are gonna run with this story. They're gonna be like, this is what all transgender people are like. Right. They're all drug addicts and they all party around kids. And we're not saying that. No, but we are saying that, you know, like we're saying that this is bad and they happen to be transgender and they were up to no good and these people are bizarre, and that's that. And I think the biggest part of that story, and why we'll never get to the bottom of it, is that you have 2 disputing accounts from the fire department and the police department. I've never seen that before, where the police department comes out and says the fire department's lying, because that's essentially what they did. And we've put in for the body cam. It's been denied. It's been denied.
Which is suspicious.
It's like you can't. They're not showing the body cam would show everything. Like they would show what the apartment was like. Like, were they lying about having sex toys there? Were they like, show us the body cam? And they don't want to show us. The city
you can't
of Boston,
say you're protecting the kids because the kids were in another room, so you don't have to show that. So
right.
I mean,
and you can blur the kids' faces out. Like, come on, there's a million ways that you could protect, you know, privacy or whatever by doing that. And it's like they couldn't be more transparent about why they're covering up. And it shouldn't be political. It should just be that we want to find the truth. And it's problematic that this major American city has a fire department, a police department that is saying the fire department is lying for unknown reasons, or just lying about this incident. And then they just move on to the next story. And like, this never happened. Like, it's crazy to me. And I've seen it with, you know, like the Kendra Lara crash. Like, if that happened in Hyde Park at 3 a.m, we would never hear about it. Like, it would be covered up. Like, it'd definitely be covered up. Michelle Wu gets in a car accident last month. Her driver did, going through a red light. They had their blue lights on. They still haven't explained why their blue lights are on, why they went through that. They almost hurt. They sent a woman and a child to the hospital. These people and the crooks that run the city of Boston, they can mask themselves as progressive, but they're just as crooked as any old time gangster politician from Providence, you know, in the 𝗵𝗵𝗧𝗂𝗍 days, as anybody. But you just mask yourselves in the cloak of progressivism, and we're supposed to assume that you're just, you know, a legitimate, you know, person who is upstanding and ethical. No, I don't buy it.
They'll clearly sacrifice the welfare of those kids if it means protecting the cause. And I know you want to get on to talking about the rally, and I'm going to get off and watch, but I just want to add, this case reminded me of something that we're working on. So in 1977, there was a boy brothel that was busted in Revere. And it had been going on for many years, where the story was in the New York Times at the time. They indicted 2 men. People had been flying from all around the country to go to this brothel to have sex with underage people, now underage males. Now, according to when they busted it, the guy who lived in the apartment started singing to the police. So he gave them a lot of very influential names, and then there were other names that he said, "I'm sorry, I'm too scared to give you that." So among the names was a guy that was second in charge of an elite boys' school in Newton called Fessenden School. And years later, it all came out that they've been abusing boys there for many, many years. And so the reason that story is kind of similar to what's going on now is that in this case, soon after that broke, the gay magazines, and again, I have nothing against gay people. I mean, it shouldn't be confused on that. But they were a protected class at that time. And they started changing the narrative that, oh, it was just a bunch of bullshit, that it was all overblown. But according to the New York Times, the boys inside there that were victimized were between the ages of 6 and 12. Now, just one more thing to add to that. So that was in 1977. In 1974, there was a kid named Lee Savoy, 10-year-old boy, who went missing and was never seen again. He lived a mile from the brothel, and he also lived a mile from Suffolk Downs. He used to go to Suffolk Downs to shine shoes to make money, which was a common thing back then. But that day when he was going to make money, he stopped at a restaurant that he knew the owner just before he got, and he left his shine box there for the owner to keep an eye on. And then he went on to Suffolk Downs. So he was doing something else to make money that didn't involve his shine box, and he was never seen again. The shirt he was wearing said, "Try it, you'll like it." It came from the old Life cereal thing where Mikey, you're probably not old enough to remember that, but Mikey, try it, you like it. But who gave him that shirt? So was this kid groomed? I don't know. These are things that it was never solved. So, I mean,
there was talk about this on your channel.
Yeah. And we're doing a documentary on it and stuff. But I mean, yeah, we're starting the first shoot on August 1st. But so if anybody wants to volunteer to help us, we'll be in Lawrence and at Bridgewater. But I mean, no one brings the attention on these cases like you. So, I mean, I hate to put that kind of pressure on you, but if we want to cover what's going on in South Boston, you're it, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the endorsement. But anyway, yeah, go give him a sub. Yellow Cottage Tales on YouTube. And he talks about this and other stuff like that. So give him a sub. He's an interesting guy. Thank you for coming on, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Aidan. Yeah. Have a good night.
Have a good one. All right. So let me read a couple more donos that we have here in the Turtle chat. We have one from Samantha, sends $10, says, tell your guests to look into anti-neoplastic therapy. Also, the body was not outside until after 3 a.m. I completely agree with your second sentence there. Kathleen sends $20. Thank you, Kathleen. It says, great job today. So glad the rally was a success and people saw that turtle riders are responsible people. Yeah, to say it was a success, we're going to talk about that in a minute, is understatement of the century. Thank you. Mizzy sends $10, says, I run the Justice for Sandra Birchmore page. I'm going to be talking about this story more in the future. I've talked about the Sandra Birchmore story when it first happened. We should be talking about it a lot more, especially because it happened in Canton. It says, thank you so much for talking about her case in depth tonight. We're going to talk about it a lot more. Like, we're going to go through the whole police report. When I first reported on the Sandra Birchmore one, I said that I believe she killed herself. I no longer feel that way. I've had my mind changed by listening to the Case podcast by world-renowned true crime reporter Kirk Minahan and his sidekick Dave Cullinan. I no longer believe that she committed suicide, and I feel foolish for ever believing that. I believe that she was murdered by Matthew Farwell, and I believe they got away with it, and I believe the Canton Police Department helped them get away with that. And I think it's completely in character, and it's just crazy that it happened in Canton. Like, there's 351 towns in the city of Massachusetts. Of course it happens in Canton. Like, it's fucking wild. Anyway, I'm working hard to uncover what happened to her. My blog isn't as big as yours. I really appreciate you uncovering her case. We are holding a rally at DA Morrissey's office on August 21st. We welcome John O'Keefe and Karen Reed supporters. Yes. I'd love to go to that on August 21st. You say, count me in. I'll be there. Okay. We got another dono from, Suzanne sends another 10 and says, you don't fear anything. You are my favorite asshole, said with love. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Happy to be your favorite asshole. Also got a couple cash apps here. We got one from Turtle Nips, says, great job today. Who was the pirate you met today? Oh, come on. That's not nice. And then we have one from Barp, sends $50 and says, great rally, great followers, glad to participate. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. If anyone else wants to donate, the link is at the top. You can donate whatever you want and leave a message. I will get a email notification when it happens, and I will read it out loud to the class when I get it. Okay. So, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy. All right. So let's talk about Canton today, man. Let me tell you guys, you know, every day I'm more and more humbled by all you people and what I've built here today, but actually seeing it in the flesh today, and just thinking like, man, I fucking did this. Like I built this shit. Like this is crazy. Like I built something, and we built a blog that turned into a movement that is just so powerful. Like it was so crazy to see it in force today. So all right. So let's talk. I'll give you to recap my version how the day went. So, you know, I find out. Oh, before we do that, let's do where you repping. We didn't do it last week. Let us know in the comments right now. Where are you watching the live show from tonight? Go ahead. Let me know where you're watching the live show from tonight. Okay, we got Manchog is in the house. Fry Island, Dorchester, Manchog, Dorchester. It's Northbridge, Rome, Georgia, South Yarmouth, Canton, Glendale, Arizona, Buffalo, Stoneham, Mashpee, Norwood, Western Mass, Turtle Hero. Let's see, Billerica, Canton, Sedalia, Missouri. That's a new one. Millville, Stonington, Connecticut, Rehoboth, Hanson, Raynham, Taunton, Worcester, Southwest UMass. Patterson Dormitory. What's up? I went to college with Nick. He was a Patterson guy too. Lance is in the it's Nashua's here. Deluxeberry, Marshfield, Lynn, Hampton Beach, Enfield, Connecticut. Waltham is in the house. Saratoga Springs, Manchester, Raleigh, Holbrook, Auburn, Mansfield, Melrose, Holbrook, Cranston, West Boylston, Taunton, and the Dedham Crack House, Plimpton, Coastal North Carolina, Matt McCabe's Cleavage, Dublin, Ireland, Saugus, Amesbury, Agunquit, looking for the McCabe Titty, Fields Corner, Dennisport, Watertown, Billerica, South Weymouth, Avon, Hanson, Whitensville, Abington, Canton, New Hampshire, in between Matt McCabe's Titties, Malden, Peabody, North Weymouth, Chicopee, Worcester, East Dennis, Freeport, Weymouth, Worcester, Webster, Raynham, Hollis, New Hampshire. Man, we are all over the place. Galveston, Texas. That's a new one. Scituate, New Salem, Norwood, Canton, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. Jesus. Bedford, New Hampshire. Holden. Nice. Holden in the house. What's up? Let's see. East Greenwich is here. Weymouth, Southie, Buzzards Bay, Waltham, Southie, another one. Key West, Townsend, Lynn, Stoughton, Brockton, Spencer, Fitchburg, unfortunately, Lowell, West Bridgewater, Quincy, Indiana. Where in Indiana? Who's your daddy? Let's see. Magic Mountain, Vermont, Somerset, Derry, New Hampshire, Asheville, North Carolina. Man, we're all over the country tonight. Everett is here. Seattle, Washington, Dartmouth, Stoughton, New Bedford, Stoughton, Dedham, Rockland, Weymouth, Abington, Rhode Island, Deanie Pizza Buffet, Whitman, New Bedford, another New Bedford, West Palm Beach, Agunquit, Umatilla, Florida, Nashua, Jesus Christ, Marshfield, Waltham, Newton, Hyde Park, Foxborough, Dorchester, Braintree, Turtlebrook Road, Santa Fe, Duxbury. Okay, you know, I love you guys. I could read these all night though. I used to be able to read these real quick. Now it's like I can't even. Let me check over on the Rumble. We got Canton, Falmouth, Adams, Massachusetts. That's a new one. Danvers is in the house. Big Flats, New York. Taunton, Whitman, Medford, Biddleford, Maid, Fall River, Danvers, and Falmouth. Okay, cool. All right. So let's talk about what happened today in Canton. So I'm not gonna lie. So when I didn't publicize this a lot because number one, I didn't want to tip them off too much. And number two, I was gonna be honest, I was a little nervous about it. Like I'm like, how is this going to fucking work? I don't know how the hell to do a rolling rally. I'd never done one of these before. It's one thing when I'm doing it by myself, but it's different when I'm like leading a fucking parade. And I'm like, okay, well, we got to go to Norwood first because that's where Brian Albert lives. And so I'm like, where are we going to park? I did not know Norwood was that urban. It's very urban there. Like it's packed, it's crowded and a lot of lights in Norwood for some reason. I had no idea. And so we started at the Shaw's and I'm like, I get there and I couldn't find anyone. I was in the wrong part of Shaw's. So I go over to the back and I like walk in there and I like people start clapping and shit. I'm like, okay, this is weird for me. I've never been clapped in a Shaw's parking lot. So I'm like, let's clap it up. And I said, thank you for coming. There was probably like 100 people there already. And I was, leading, and I told them we're going to do this. And I said, and somebody pointed out to me, they're like, what about lights? And I'm like, I didn't even fucking think about that. What if we get stuck behind lights? I'm like, well, I'm going to need to give you the addresses in order that we're going to, order of operations here. So we started, I said, we're going to start at 909 Washington Street. That's where Brian Albert lives now, where he hides. And then we're going to go to Canton from there. And we're going to start we're going to go north to south. So we're going to start at the Proctor household. So that we got to go through the center of Canton to do that. We're going to go to the Proctor household first. He lives a quarter mile from the McCabe's. Then we're going to go to Fairview, except I forgot to do that. And we went too far south. We went to Julie Nagel's house. And then we were going to go to Sarah Levinson's house, but I was told she lives on like a dirt road and it would have been a fucking mess. Like, dude. So anyway, I thought there would be like 50 to 100 people max. And I would estimate today at least 300 people. I don't know what you guys think that were there. At least 300 people. And not just like people, like enthusiastic motherfuckers. Like half of you people had How Long to Die in Cold or Free Karen Reed or some sort of Turtleboy shirt on. It was great to see it. And you guys brought kids and like, it was freaking awesome, man. It was awesome. There were people of all shapes and sizes, young, old, whatever in between, you name it. And so that was really cool to see. So we went to Brian Albert's first, and that was the most awkward one because it's really urban there. Like there's nowhere to park. And so I made the mistake of kind of going first. So because I get there and then everyone else has to find a place to park. And by the time people parked, they'd come back and they'd miss my whole speech. So at each place before going there, I explained what this person did, how they're involved, why we're going to their house. And people are like, you're harassing them. It's not harassing. These people are complicit in a murder. We believe them to be. I mean, the facts back that up and their behavior backs it up. They're not acting like innocent people act. Innocent people aren't afraid to speak. They're not, especially when you're not being charged with something. Like that's the most, have you noticed that? Like that's the most telling part about this is that normally the defense does not want their client to talk. Karen Reed, as you can see from her last press date, she couldn't wait to talk. And Karen Reed will, if this goes to trial, which God hoping it won't, she will testify gladly. I'm 100% positive she's going to testify. I bet she can't wait to testify because when you have the truth on your side, then and there's no gotchas, then what do you have to worry about? Whereas the prosecution and their witnesses who, you're not on trial. So, but none of them want to talk. Like, why don't any of you want to talk? And it's just so obvious what's happening here. So, it's fair game to go to your house and protest. If you're not going to talk, you're going to ignore messages. I'm a reporter. I can go to your house. It's a public sidewalk. We can go outside. Now, of course, they weren't there. And another reason I wanted to go to their homes is because I wanted to let the neighbors know. I wanted to let the neighbors know who's living next door to you. Because these people are getting way too comfortable. They're way too comfortable considering what they did. You should not be, and they're walking around like none of this happened. Like they're not involved in covering up a murder. Like let's make things awkward with the neighbors a little bit. Like, let's go there and get on the megaphone. And in case maybe the neighbors aren't following this stuff, maybe they're not reading Turtleboy and subscribing to the channel or whatever. And they need to know what's happening, what their neighbor did. This is what this person who you see every day come out and mow their lawn. That's what they did one time. They killed someone and they covered it up. And if you don't think that they would do it to you, then you don't understand how evil these people are and how diabolical these people are. And I'll tell you one thing, the neighbors in every house we went to today loved us. It's a myth that there's widespread support for these assholes in Canton. There isn't. There is not. That is a lie. Maybe people at the beauty salon or wherever are saying that, but in reality, from what I saw today, no. Karen Reed is much more liked in that town, and Turtleboy is much more liked in that town than Brian Albert and Chris Albert and Jen McCabe ever will be. So it's all fake. So we got there to Brian's, and it's like, I'm just starting this. So like only like probably 50 people were there at the beginning, because they didn't have enough time to park. And so then we went to Proctor's, and so the Proctor's house was cool. So, and I didn't realize, by the way, my stream, it's so fucking blurry. I don't know what happened with that. That's weird. But anyway, we got to Proctor's house, and he was gone. So he knew to get the fuck out of there. There was no Proctor's there. He still got that turtle sign, the turtle crossing sign in his yard, which I believe he put that there himself because he thinks this is a joke. He's so cocky that he's not going down for this, that he's still got that in his lawn. He does have like a private property sign, so you can't knock on his door like I did previously. He did take down the thin blue line flag. Now, what I found most cool about the Proctor house is that the kids with the lemonade stand. Oh my God. God bless those kids. There were his neighbors across the street. I got there, and they've got a lemonade stand set up. Now, this is not a neighborhood that's like a through street or anything like that. So like, it's not a good place to set up a lemonade stand for kids, because it's like, there's only so many people that can come by. Right. So you look like, and I'm like, those kids, they did this on, like, their parents obviously were like, today's the day you set up the lemonade stand. Cause guess what? Hundreds of people are coming through today, and it's hot, and you guys are cute as shit. So they're going to buy you lemonade. And it was almost like whoever that neighbor was, if they did that, I hope they did that on purpose. It was them, their subtle way of saying fuck you to Michael Proctor, saying, you know what, we're enjoying this so much that we're going to make a little money off of this too, that we're going to send our cute little kids out there, and people don't even want the lemonade. People just want to give the kids money. And so God bless those kids, those little young entrepreneurs. So we did that. And again, Proctor Street was fucking nuts. Like it's not a through street. Like there's people up and down the street. You couldn't even fucking move. All the cars are there. I'm giving a speech. There's people walking around everywhere. Like it was crazy. Then we went to Jen McCabe's house, and we knew she wasn't going to be home because, Matt's airing his titties out in a gunquit. And again, I made the mistake of being one of the first ones there. It was where she lives is like a circle. So you go in, and then it kind of goes just around, and that's it. And then goes out. And they live about a quarter mile. Like that was one interesting thing to show people exactly how close Michael Proctor lives to Jennifer McCabe, because this idea that they've never interacted before or met is just so foolish and so ridiculous. Like it's impossible to believe that. So anyway, we get there, and she's now got 2 no trespassing signs in her lawn, because 3 weeks ago, I knocked on her door, which was wide open for some reason. She just kept her door open, and I saw her there, and she must have talked to some people in law enforcement who told her, if you put a no trespassing sign on your lawn, people are not allowed to just come up and ring your doorbell. So put a no trespassing sign on your lawn, because that is a way around it. So, and I said, look, I did notice that there was a neighbor, and it's on the video, but it's really blurry. There was a neighbor filming that was watching this at the McCabe's. And I'm like, are you team Karen Reed? And he kind of like smiled at me. Like he's definitely team Karen Reed. So the neighbors, Jen, your neighbors if you're looking at your house to the right, definitely don't borrow sugar from them. They ain't giving it back. They don't like you at all. You can tell. The neighbors across the street were the only ones that were a little bit cunty, but that's because people were blocking their driveway. So, and then they asked them to move. But again, this is about making life uncomfortable. Like this is about not being comfortable. Like, sorry, we didn't do this. The people across the street done killed someone and want to act like life is normal. So I'm sorry that you're, temporarily inconvenienced by this, but talk to your neighbor. Talk to your neighbor. I want one of my goals today was to make the neighbors not like all the people that we want to make them uncomfortable, which I feel like we did. So that was the McCabe household. And again, so many people didn't see it because there's a fucking line. Where do you guys see some of these pictures? Let me see if I can pull up. People are posting them all over the Justice for John page. And don't message me because your chats will come up if you message. So let me go over there because there's a shit ton of fucking pictures going on. Let me pull this up. I mean, like, look at this. Like, that's Fairview Road. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. There's a lot of pictures in here. This is us at, like, so I took a lot of pictures today, and I'm like, every time I'm like, we got to do the Canton salute. Like, imagine that. Like what the craziest part about it is, like, if you see an Albert or a McCabe, like, and somebody's like, smile, like, isn't your initial instinct to be like, smile, you know? Not for them. Their initial, they hear like, say cheese, and they're like, okay, better put the fist out, or better put the middle finger out. Like, why is that your initial reaction, like instinct to do it all the time? So there we go. We're just giving them the fist, the Brian Albert fist. What else we got here? So this is outside Fairview. We'll talk about what happened there in a minute. Fairview was wild. Fairview was fucking awesome when we got there. There they are. There's Kelleher. Okay. There's Proctor. Again, this is Elizabeth Proctor posting pictures. I guess they were not there today, so they wanted to let us know. So they posted pictures of, and this picture's fucking sad with the kid in there. It's like in Michael Proctor. Like, he's just so confident and cocky. And it's really sad because, like, that kid, if everything goes right, that kid will grow up without his father. And that's very sad. That's very sad. But again, Michael Proctor chose that, not us. Oh, look at this. Look at this. That is badass. That is fucking awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Turtle Riders are the best. Oh my God. Look at those titties. Oh God. This is in front of the Canton Police Department. We'll talk about that. Oh my God. Is that Jill Daniels? Good Lord. Okay. Look at, what's this? Free Karen Reed. Oh, it's in East Dennis, dude. It's everywhere. Free Karen Reed is everywhere. This is the Proctor household. How about this car? It says, "Where is Chloe?" Dude, there was like hundreds of cars today, and so many of them, the streets were just filled with cars that said "Free Karen Reed," "Justice for John O'Keefe," up and down the town, parading through the town. One thing I did notice, and this is what I took away from more than anything, and I told this to a bunch of people today. There was not a single, I didn't see a single Canton cop once. Not once. I'll tell you one thing. If a caravan full of people comes to Holden, 300-400 people come to Holden, and they decide to start caravanning through our town, stopping at random residential addresses to get out and go on the sidewalk and talking to a megaphone outside of someone's house, it's not illegal. But the police will be there to keep an eye on it. Like, that is like, that's normal. Like, the police should have been there. Look, they should have been keeping an eye on us. I'm sure they were by watching the stream, but they should have been. If I'm a tax-paying resident of Canton, I'm wondering today, why I didn't see one cop. People are all worried about the cops are going to get you. I didn't see a single cop today. Not one. And I think that's because they know they don't want to be on Turtleboy. They know that if a single cop does show up, they're going to have to take it for the team. They know that, like, I'm going to question them, and Turtle Riders are going to question them. And people, they're kind of like the villain in this. As long as they remain silent, they are the villain. And so they did not want to be on tape. It's like those two officers that responded to me at the pizza shop, D&E Pizza, when Albert called me a loser and then cried and hid behind the cops. Don't call my friends in the police department. I'll kick your ass, Turtleboy. Let me call the cops. I'm so scared of you. Anyway, they seemed like they didn't want to be on film, those guys. They're just like, they didn't want to take that call, you know. And I think no Canton police officer wanted to be there that day. It was remarkable. The lack of police today, just remarkable. Like, it was crazy considering it was unsafe. Like, when we got to the, like, not unsafe, but like when we got to the police department at the end on the busiest road in town, I mean, people were walking across the street. We're on the sidewalk on the curb a little bit. Like, That's dangerous. There should have been a cop. We were right outside the police department. How is there not a cop there keeping an eye on shit? Nobody came out. And that was by design. Every morning, police officers at roll call get spoken to by the chief or the lieutenant, whoever, and they're like, here's what's going to happen. Of course, they were talking about the rolling rally that was coming to Canton today. Of course, and I'm sure they were directed, don't go anywhere near it. We can watch the stream. If anything goes bad, we'll respond then. That's it. Not one resident. I don't believe that not one resident called the Canton police. I don't believe that. I believe that there's no way the crusty panties of the world and people like that weren't sitting on the phone calling the police. But I bet the police just didn't. We're like, oh, okay, we'll check it out. It never went. I guarantee if you pull all the call records today, someone called the cops on this. There's no way no one called the cops on us. Exactly. Like there is a 0.0% chance that someone did not call the police today. No way. It's like somebody had to have called and been like, what the fuck is going on? Why is our town being invaded on a Saturday? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And they were just like, okay, we're on it. They probably just placated them, and that's that. So there's that picture. I love that. The Where is Chloe? Brilliant. What else do we have here? This is me being interviewed by local Canton television afterwards. I don't know what all these pictures are. Maybe that person can explain it later. Any more pictures from the rally? Number 9. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. I don't know what's going on with the numbers there, but I thought I saw more pictures here. There's more pictures of it. Anyway, maybe we'll find some later. There was a lot of good, I think on the Turtleboy page, somebody had some good, let me pull up the Turtleboy page. Actually, let me tell you what happened the rest of the day. So if you didn't watch it already. So after that, after we went to McCabe's house, then we got in our cars and we went to Julie Nagel's house. Now, Julie Nagel did not know we were coming. I did not publicize that. And she's kind of been like, she probably didn't think they're obsessed with McCabe. They're not going to come here. Julie Nagel to me is we don't talk about her enough and her involvement in this. Like she came out and told Ryan to skedaddle after asking him for a ride. She knew something. She also lied to police when she told them or misled police when she said she saw something shadowy on the front lawn. She has an interest in protecting Brian Albert. I don't think she's involved in any of this, but she has an interest in protecting him. And so we went there and she apparently took a freaking piece of tape on their mailbox and put it over the 78 Highland Street. And she lives on a very densely populated road. It's packed in that street. It's very narrow. It doesn't go anywhere. And so we got there and they were doing yard work in the backyard. And then they all ran inside and we knew that she could hear us. Like, you need to come clean, Julie. You don't want to go to jail. Like, it's not worth it. You don't have to go to jail. You can just start talking now and start saying what happened in there. I know you want to protect Brian Albert, but he's going down and you don't want to be involved in that. If that means you break up with Brian Albert Jr., oh, well, you're young. You can move on with your life. You'll find somebody else that isn't involved in murders. You'll be good. And so that's what we did there. So I thought that was an interesting time. She tried to cover that up. After that, the pinnacle for me was 31 Fairview Road, right? When we went to 31 Fairview, I'll show you what happened when we pulled up there. Let me pull up my video of this. If you didn't see this. Man, 16,000 people. There was like over 2,000 people viewing this shit. Know what assholes they are. Right. So here we go. McCabe. See, I don't know why it's McCabe. Okay. We're going to park right over here. Yeah. Okay. So this is 78. So this is us driving to 78.
I don't even know if they think that Kearney did it.
This is outside.
To them for this.
And by the way, Julie Nagel's neighbors loved us. This is the house where we got the most love from neighbors. They came out from like every house and were clearly in support of us. Like, you know, Get him, Turtle
Even though
Boy.
you
Like,
called him looking for a ride.
and
You need
it's
to
gonna be
explain
awkward
that.
on the
It's
street.
not too late to save yourself. You can avoid jail in doing that. And she's active. Yeah. Thank you.
So this was packed. Then let's see, what else we got? Then we went
Right.
to the. Let me get to Fairview.
Stop it. I go, oh, all around 11. Fairview gave us a thumbs up. This is the house that has a Ring doorbell.
Okay, so watch this. This is when we get to Fairview.
Okay.
Okay, check this out.
So why don't we point the camera at as many doorbells as we can? See how many Ring doorbells we see on the street. That one have one? No, that one's got.
That's just an old doorbell.
Okay.
So this is
All right.
Fairview
What
Road.
about over here? That one got one?
I don't see one there either.
One there.
Not there.
That one too far away.
Mhm.
Hey. Hey, how's it going? Yeah. Do you guys have a Ring camera? Okay, no Ring. All right, thank you anyway.
So they were coming out. I mean, those people were elderly, and they're coming out because they're watching this. We could tell they were watching. They yelled something about Turtleboy after that. They were watching it. Like, I'm like, you watch Turtleboy? That's crazy to me. Like, they knew we were coming down their street. That's why they were coming outside at that time. We're going, like, they're excited about this. Oh shit. Like, this big thing is happening on our street. How can we not come outside for it? But they're rooting for us. The neighbors know we're coming. They knew Turtleboy's coming there.
Love you in this town. There's someone else.
Yeah, she gave us a thumbs up. 10 Fairview gave us a thumbs up. This is the house that has a Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
That's got a Ring doorbell. What else do we got here? That one have one. Look at all these freaking houses. That's got one. I see one right there. There's one in 19. That's got one.
Yep.
Oh, 22. They got one. 22's got one.
That's got one.
22's got one. Here we're coming down. Oh, it's packed down.
There's
here.
one there.
24.
Where do you see how many people are there?
People are
Oh,
already
it's
here.
packed here, baby. It's packed.
This is like 10 houses away. Like, look at all these freaking people.
Here.
This is crazy.
Right. Don't wanna park
Hundreds
on
of people. You couldn't even get down the goddamn street. So we got to park like
People are already.
block away. And we
See,
start,
all right, so we are coming up here on.
I mean, okay, so this is 31 Fairview, where you pull up to.
Multitasking. Hello. All right, welcome to Fairview Road. Anybody's first time here? You're probably right about it. It's like out of a fairy tale when you see it. So here we are. We are outside of 31 Fairview Road, the home of Canton Deputy Police Chief
So
Tom
he
Kelleher.
left. He knew we were coming. He left.
As you can see here, he lives directly across the street.
Look at that. Look at that.
Dad,
Look at all those fucking people.
From 34 Fairview Road. He's got a Ring camera right above his doorway. 3 of them.
Three
One,
Ring cameras.
two. What's on the other
3
side?
Ring
There's
cameras
no-
this house has.
You see that one? That's pointing right at it. So this is the angle of where 34 Fairview is. Right under, right next to, between the flagpole. Let's walk over there. Hold on.
So check this out. When we actually walk
Field
over
trip,
there,
So over here,
look at all these people.
and this is where it was. So they'll say, "Oh, John McCabe's. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything."
So the body was like right here, you know, right here. There's no way they didn't see it. Like Jen McCabe
Right
was
over
being
here, right
stupid.
before the mulch, is where the body of a 6'2", 217-pound man.
So anyway, this.
Graceful. And cameras.
Wow.
One is looking at Proctor.
All right. And then, so
Taken out of
after this, we
Boston.
we did our speech here. I
up to.
mean, look at all these fucking people, man. This place was packed. Packed. It was crazy. This is a public road. We took over the whole freaking town, man. Like people in free care and read shit everywhere. Complete strangers to this woman. She's never met them ever. And all these people have her back. That must feel very good. I hope she feels happy seeing that. I hope it's because she needs to be.
He's a
Needs some
police officer.
uplifting.
Whenever he feels like it, he's
All right. So then we went to the police station.
We in there?
Okay. I took a lot of selfies today. So then we went to the police
Killed them.
station and
letting anyone in there. Go. Showtime.
so this is right across the street from 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗹𝗺's house.
And give me one second. So I have my selfie stick. They decided they were going to fill that pool in. Some people in there. Okay, yeah, we're here, folks. But then they decided they were going to fill that pool in. Suddenly, like 5 days after being mentioned by David Yannetti in court as being involved in this murder. So
then there it is. Notice the bed sheet curtains. That's how you normally notice that you're in the hood. They had bed sheet curtains, and we did notice when we came back that there was somebody holding a phone right here. So someone was in that house. Notice that the driveway is completely empty. At 3:30, this is at like 2 o'clock. At 3:30, people in Canton were telling me there was now 5 cars in the driveway. So they were literally just watching us and waiting us out. And so they put something in the goddamn, they were taking videos in the window. Somebody was. And I'm like, what are they going to use that for? I'm like your power, like, what are you going to do with that video? And all they're really going to do is send it to, like, they still think they have power, and they're not looking for me. They don't care about me. They care about, like, who can we see here? Who in Canton that needs to be exiled now for supporting this? Like, that's what they're looking for.
Oh, there's some rustling in there. There's some people in there. Okay, yeah, we're here, folks. Chance if he doesn't, I don't want to bother innocent people, but here we are. Hey!
I mean, this was the pinnacle when the whole time I couldn't even talk because people were honking and cheering us on the whole time.
Direct line into his yard as he decided to suddenly, 5 days after
when the truck comes by, the 18-wheeler, that's the best part.
In a murder cover-up, they decided that they were going to fill in their very nice family pool that they used frequently before that. They decided they were going to fill in that family pool. Yay! And they've since resodded it. You wouldn't even know what's in there. We don't know what's in that pool.
Again, there should have been an officer out here.
But something's in that pool. They decided, because you don't just decide to do that out of nowhere. We don't have any proof of that. But, you know, if they were interested in that, that's, I don't know. Brian and they do their job. They see a dead body, jacket on in the middle of a blizzard, and his face is literally beaten to a pulp where his eyes are bulging out. And it's kind of weird. They're going to hold on to it. And they're like, nobody asked, like, gee, I wonder where his other shoe is. Where'd that go? There must have been dozens of. He is a very close friend and goes on spring break.
I think this is where the truck comes.
Albert.
Where's the truck?
Conveniently.
Oh, here it is. Look at this guy. This was great. He just lays it on. Dude, it was like this the whole time.
You're watching? I know. Hey! So I just want to give a shot. So I know 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃, I know you guys are watching this. You're sitting on the beach your last day at a banquet. You're like, I got to get out of town because I know the rolling rally's coming through. But just look at all the support here for Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. Everybody here knows what you did. Everyone who's honking, all of them, like literally everybody who comes by likes us. Everybody who goes by knows what you did, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 and Brian Albert. They know. And we're not putting up with it because we said, no, you can trust the police. It's about that somehow your officers missed single day.
Anyway, so it was pretty awesome. So anyway, this is great, man. Like today was just the most uplifting day. Like it was such a proud day, man. So cool to be there. Like I said, it felt like a stripper. People putting money in my G-string. That was cool. Never had that happen before, but man, after that, I didn't want to publicize it, but I did go to the waterfall bar because I didn't want to overwhelm them with like so many people. I told some people and I figured people would be there anyway. And we had about 30 or 40 turtle riders in the bar afterwards. That's where I took that picture with the whatever. I met the owner. I talked to her, really nice Irish lady. And so it's like, and everybody in town that I talked to knows, and they agree with us. So there's this myth that the town of Canton is all, they're all like this, and they're all talking about it. They all have our back. The only negative thing that happened is at the end, somebody threw an egg at us. Now I got some still shots of it appears to be a BMW. Somebody threw an egg. They missed They almost hit a 5-year-old kid. They threw an egg. It came this close to hitting a 5-year-old kid. So we do have the license plate, and we're going to find out who you are, Mr. Egg Thrower. That was the only negative thing. And then afterwards, so I go to the waterfall, and I couldn't find on-street parking or in the waterfall parking lot. So I went and I went down to the Walgreens, I think it was, a ways down the way. And I parked in the lot there. And I come back to the car, and people, they're like, is that a fucking sticker on your car? It said something about like jerking off or something. And like whoever's driving this car was jerking off. And like, if it was a bumper sticker on my brand new fucking car, oh my God, I'd be so pissed. It was a magnet. So I just took the fucking magnet off. I'm like, but that's crazy that like somebody was stalking me. And I'm pretty sure we all know who it was. We're not even going to give them any attention. And we don't care because it's like I got a free magnet out of it. So owned, I guess. I pull up there, and it made me realize that like whoever put that magnet on there, like I was parked so far away from the waterfall that like you would never have thought to look in the Walgreens parking lot for my car. And I've only had the car for 3 weeks too. So like, you know what it looks like already. So whoever did that literally went out of their way to follow me there. And then just to put that on the car, like just to do that. And I think we all know who did it. And it's like, and they're so retarded that they think that like, oh, owned, I'm going to be so mad. No, I don't care. I got a free I got a funny magnet out of it. Now I can use it on someone else if I want to. It's like, I guess so. It would have been worse if it was a bumper sticker, and then I would have to it would have been a pain in the ass to get off. But yeah, I mean, to get it made to like think of how empty your life has to be. And we all know who did it. We're not going to give them attention because they're nobody. They're looking for attention off of this, and they're not going to get it. So sorry that we're relevant and you're not, and people come to our channel and follow us, and you can never have a live event like that where hundreds of people show up to support you because nobody likes you. And that's ultimately, you're mad at me because you're unloved. And you look at Turtleboy and you're like, why does everybody like him? People should be liking me, but they don't. They like me. They don't like you. It is what it is. Sorry. Made me stop being such a cunt. Okay. All right. Anybody, let's do a little Q&A. We'll ask Turtleboy if you have any questions, fire away. Let me know. Give you a chance to ask any questions. Let me check the donos. I don't want to miss anyone. Okay. I think we're good. We got one from John. Says, great job. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. All right. All right. So why don't we do the last Turtleboy? Oh, thank you for asking. What do your kids think about what you're doing? You know, they're getting to the age where they're starting to know what dad does for work, I guess. And I'd like to think that I make them proud. I would like to. And that's kind of why I've changed the direction of the blog. Like, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, I was calling people food for sauce and making fun of the way they looked and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's not a good example. That's not what I want my kids to look at and be like, that's what dad does. Like, that's not how my dad never did that. So why am I setting this example? Whereas I feel like now, like what I did today, this is a product that my kids can be proud of, that I can point to and said, see this, see all these people, all these good people here. We peacefully protest for a good cause, for an innocent woman. We're fighting an injustice. And they're too young to really understand what's going on. But I've told them about Karen Reed before, and we go to church every Sunday, and after you get communion, you got to say a prayer. So I always tell them to pray for Karen Reed, because, you know, she needs it. And it's as good as, if God's listening, that's like, this is as good. She's as good as a cause as any. I don't know if God, how that works about like who you hook up, who you help out or not. But God, if you're listening, like Karen Reed, I think she should be first in line with the wishes. So I don't know if it works that way, but yeah. So my kids kind of know. They know I do a YouTube show. They wouldn't understand this topic or anything like that. Like they wouldn't get it. Like they're way too young. But they know I'm on YouTube, and they know I write things, and they know, like when we go out sometimes, that people call me Turtleboy and they think it's funny. And that's it. So there's that. All right, other questions. Let's see what people are saying. Do you think Monday will be eventful? Tuesday. Oh, yes, it will be very eventful. I am quite sure. This is going to be a busy week. Like this is going to be, There's gonna be some shit that happening that I can't talk about that I've been heard is gonna happen. Turn your TV on Monday. Turn your TV on Tuesday. Turn your TV on Wednesday. Put it that way. It's not just gonna be Turtleboy anymore. Those days are over. Why did the Alberts dig up the field? No, they didn't dig it up. So that is a myth. They did not dig up the pool. They resod. So if you look at the way they filled in the pool, it looked horrible. Like the sod was different colors than the rest of the yard. So what they did was they just kind of resodded it so that the grass looked uniform across the whole yard. So that's what they did. Amber says, you and the blog have come so far. I even feel proud. Well, thank you. I mean, it really has. It's a completely different product than what it was a couple years ago. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. The Canton reporter was great. You know, he seemed really interested, and it might seem small time to have like, you know, Canton TV there or whatever, but you got to understand the old timers in town, that's where they get their news from, is like their local, the Canton Citizen or whatever the local town newspaper is. Like there are people who read those, and it's important that that they get it through. So I'm for any publicity that you can get. So that's what they asked me about that. One of the things, ironically, he asked me was like, did you get any pushback today? And I'm like, no. And then the egg incident happened. Like, we're right on cue. Maybe ABC and NBC. I don't know. Just saying. Anything interesting in the recent court docs? We talked all about on the last Saturday about the new filing. So we went over all that. But in the discovery, we won't know what's in there unless some of it comes out on Tuesday. So we'll see. I do miss the 𝗵𝗶 stuff. I mean, I still throw it in there once in a while. I did a couple ratchet blogs this week. We had the woman in 𝗵𝗶𝗧𝗂𝗃. The fucking kid. That one pissed me off. I could rant about that. Like the old live show would have been like me and Brett just making fun of that 𝗵𝗶𝗧𝗃𝗃 mother. And that's fun and all. It's entertaining, but like ultimately at the end of the day, who cares? You know, it's entertaining, but like you're not going to grow doing that kind of stuff. This is the kind of shit that people want, that you can sell to respectable people, and you're not selling out doing it because it's still good content. It's like, it's still riveting entertainment. It's actually more entertaining. Year of the Turtle. Indeed. You got that right. I didn't even invent Gutter Muppet. That was South Shore Turtle Girl. So you could thank her, who I haven't spoken to in 6 years, believe it or not. I love you, South Shore Turtle Girl, if you're out there still. I was going to ask the same thing, but what are your parents and siblings think? So that's another question. So my parents are big supporters of it. My parents are just worried, you know, like they're worried about my safety, and because they were really worried about that. And they're also worried about, like, you know, the language I use. That was my mom's biggest complaint, was the language. They hated crotch fruit. Like, I stopped using crotch fruit at my mom's request, basically. She's like, can you stop saying crotch fruit? I don't like it. I'm like, but it's a joke. I called my own kids, Aidan. We did not raise you to say words like crotch fruit. I'm like, so I just thought I switched it to Semen Demon. I don't know if that's better, but you know, they're very happy about the direction the blog has turned. They're fully in support of it. They're not ashamed to be my parents at all. They're proud of it. My parents are great people. They'll always have my back. Taught me everything I know, made me the person I am. Siblings, I have 6 of them. So that's kind of like some read it more than others. Some follow it more than others. Like one I know doesn't read it at all, because I had to like fill him in on the Karen Reed thing, which he's now interested in. And his complaint was always like, I don't really care a shit about random ratchets in towns, because he lives in Texas. He's like, I don't really care about some ratchet in some town in Fall River that I never go to. Like, but everybody cares about the Canton story. So that's interesting. Relapse Regina. That's right. That's what we call her. Semen Demon is actually fun. It is better. It is better. And it sounds better too. No, Bev as a fact is presiding on the 25th. That's a guarantee. I don't know when you're going to hear the 911 call. I don't know. We'll find out. Going on Snap Crackle. Let me move this out of the way. South Shore Turtle Girl did write about Diane and the Cat Cat. That was one of her best series that she did. That was a great series on Diane, drunken old Diane. We have no cats, Kathleen. Who remembers that story from 2017? That was a great one, man. That was a great one. But that was also back in the day where it's like it just became hard to sell it to new people because they're like, oh, they're immature. It comes across as immature. And eventually you got to grow out of it a little bit. Is the owner of Centerfield's James related to it? Yes, they're brothers. Yes, that's correct. We went by 𝗵𝗏𝗧𝘂𝗏𝗏 Carpeting today too. He's an asshole. We have no cats, Kathleen. That you see, if we were now, we have no cats, Kathleen shirts. Like that would have. That's one of the greatest lines ever from Turtleboy. If you haven't read what the hell was the Cat Cafe? What the hell was the name of that Cat Cafe? Go back and read that series if you haven't read it. And that's like one of the most all-time Turtleboy lines is we have no cats, Kathleen. If you read the blog, you'll get it. Like those who get it, get it. Yeah, Abby Horowitz has been MIA, but maybe she needs to make a comeback. I don't know. You were in the blogs? Oh, no shit. Were you one of the victims of her? Oh, that was a crazy story, man. We have no cats, Kathleen. The Purr Cat Cafe. That was the Purr Cat. Remember she used to post in cat too? Oh, she was a riot. She was crazy, man. She was crazy. The meat waffle. No, the meth waffle. Oh, I forgot about the meth waffle. That guy. Meow, meow, purr. That's right. She would end everything with meow, meow, purr. Okay. I became hooked on Turtleboy after 2016 after you wrote about someone I used to hang out with. It often starts that way. It often starts that way. Who gets arrested first? Kendra Lara. I mean, Jen McCabe. And Kendra Lara's not going to be arrested. So we got a $20 dono here on the Cash App from Leah M. She sends $20 and says her message is 2 thumbs up. Thank you. Justice for John and Karen. Thank you very much, Leah. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. All right. Anyone else have any questions before we call it a night? All right. So I guess we'll call it a night. I just want to thank everybody again for supporting you. I love you guys so much, man. It's so humbling days like today. It makes me feel really good about life. And when you like your work and you see how much people are appreciating it and the community that we've built here, and we're doing a really good thing. We're doing a really good thing here by holding these people accountable and getting justice for a very innocent and nice woman who deserves better than this. And so thank you guys again for everything. I love you all. And we will see you guys all Tuesday. Hopefully see a lot of you Tuesday at 12:15 on the courthouse steps in Dedham. If not, we'll see you for the live show later that night. Peace, Turtle Riders.